Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, here we are at the Long Beach Annual 4th Debate. It's hosted by myself, Hunter Dawkins, the owner and the publisher of the Gazebo Gazette. Thank y'all. Thank you very much. It has been my goal for a long time to be not only the paper of the city of Long Beach, but to provide the community the outreach to see what you got running for office. And from that, from that perspective, I really think that we're going to hit things off right today. And before I do the introduction, as far as for Mayor Bass and for the aldermen that are unopposed, I'd like to, the invocation. If somebody would like to do the invocation for me, we can sit up here and, Mayor.
Great opportunity to be here, and I just want to, I'm going to ask a blessing for this event. If you'll bow your heads and join me in prayer. Our Heavenly Father, as we come to you today, we just thank you for your blessings, your mercy, and your grace. Father, we thank you for the opportunity to be here, to have our citizens, not only those in attendance, but those who may be watching online, Father, to try to learn from those that here that are seeking God positions that we pray that you've put them in and led them to seek, Father. We ask you'll bless each candidate and each citizen that's represented here. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Do we have a flag? Do we have somewhere? Well, I don't know where the flag is. Okay. There we go. We don't mind the pledge. Y'all mind. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Now that we're going to get this underway, and it's been a long time coming. It's been 4 years since we had it outside. I'm certainly glad that we have it inside this year, and it's going to answer a lot of questions, and that's what we really want to do. We want to answer questions for everybody. 8 years ago, when Mayor Bass was running for office, I saw him in Juan Tequila's I had just bought the newspaper, and it was a project of mine to really get involved in the Harrison County. And as you know, right now we are the Harrison County Independent newspaper. Not only is my office in Pass Christian, but we represent Pass Christian, Long Beach, the city of Biloxi, the city of D'Iberville, and all their school districts too as well. But my conversation with Mayor Bass was, Mayor, I'm really wanting to get involved. I really want to help the city. He looked at me and he said, Hunter, we're going to do this. We're going to take care of it. And from that point, there's a lot of history around the legend over here. There's a lot of history, but I'll let him tell you a little bit about himself and things as such. But I do want to welcome Mayor George Bass.
Thank you much. Thank you, Hunter, and everybody here, those who may be watching. Let me say, I've been checking the subscriptions to Hunter's paper. Most of them come from Long Beach. A lot of his advertisement comes from Long Beach, and we've got office space in Long Beach. Come on over here to Long Beach and open up your office here. No, I'm just kidding, Hunter. You do a great job for us, and this right here, this event that we're having today, is a testament to your efforts to be involved in the community, to have the citizens that turned out here. It's great. I know a lot of you are here to support your candidate. And I wish, it's like I'd said earlier to someone, when I ran the second time, we had such a low turnout of voters, of registered voters. It was horrible, it was pathetic, and it was to the point that we take for granted the freedoms that we have to get out and vote. There was a country over in Europe that was experiencing at the same time, a few weeks before our electoral vote here in Long Beach, that had their first opportunity to get out and vote for a candidate. They'd gone from a dictatorship to freedom. There was over a 90% turnout in that country. Think about that you've got to participate in your government. There's a lot of people that complain. We have a lot of people, I'm told, I don't do the Facebook, I don't do the residence pages, but I get notified just about every day, a number of times of what citizens are saying on these pages. Well, you know, the door's open there at City Hall. Come down, sit down, and talk to me about it. People are confused why we can't do something like that. I will talk about a couple of those things, and the reason I'm going to talk about these projects is you're going to elect a new mayor, and you're going to elect several new aldermen that's going to take office, and you're going to expect them to deliver on things immediately. One of the things I wanted to do, one of the many things I wanted to do almost 8 years ago going into office was to work on drainage. We've worked on drainage. We'll continue to work on drainage here in Long Beach. The last several heavy rains that we've had over the last few years, we haven't had any houses flooded. We've cut down on the number of streets that have been flooding. We're continuing to work on that. We just completed a $1.5 million 100% grant to do a drainage basin study here in Long Beach. We just received a $5 million 100% grant to do the engineering for these, and it's not me that's doing it. It's our board that's doing this. This started during our first board. It's continuing right now through this second board, and whoever replaces me and the alderman replacement will continue that, because once that $5 million engineering project is complete and ready to go construction, there's $10 million there of 100% money that's available, with 4 other increments of $10 million to make sure that we get our drainage done right here in Long Beach. But the thing you got to remember when you talk about drainage, the thing I was accused about for the first thing, that I'd stole money, well, it was buried in Long Beach from FEMA money. And that's where this is going to be. It's going to be buried. You're not going to see it, and you're not going to realize that. So it takes time. You know, we've announced that we've got a railroad project we worked on over 5 years ago. The construction kicks off this coming Monday. It takes time, folks. It takes engineering. It takes, going through the different sources where you get the fundings to make things happen. God knows I'm very impatient. I've had to learn a lot of patience in this 8 years of what we've been doing. And I asked you as citizens to be patient with your folks. The harbor, we waited 4 years waiting for FEMA to come through and do the right thing. They never did. Now we have a different administration in Washington. Myself and Alderman at Large Donald Fraser, about 3 weeks ago, we spent a few days in D.C. We got in to see FEMA officials up there in D.C. It's a whole different attitude. They're telling us, now look, you're obligated to what went on in the prior administration, but there's other funding sources we got to be able to put you back together. And we're taking advantage of that up there. We'll be back in May following up with that and those other funding sources to bring back. But that doesn't mean we're not doing anything in the harbor. When you're doing a repair or you're building something, there's steps you have to do to go through. You can't stand walls up on the ground before you pour the foundation. You can't put cabinets in a house before you have sheetrock in. We're doing outside walls down there at the harbor to protect our inner harbor. We just opened bids on the inner wall that we'll be awarding at our recess meeting on Wednesday night to begin construction on that. We're talking $6 million project just on the inner wall. We can't do anything with piers until we get the inner wall built. There's a connection there. We could have built the pier, but guess what? We're going to have to shut it down when we have to tear out sections to put the new wall in. So there's steps that we have to take, and we're taking those steps. As soon as it was made available to us that we finally got our arbitration, we got a final notice from FEMA, we started working on inside. You're going to see some pier work going on at the north end of the harbor there. You're going to see some piers coming out and being prepared for new work going on. And also, a project was started before I took office and after I was elected in a new board. We had 4 new board members come on. Out of my campaign funds, we did a 3-day retreat to set an agenda based on what we had ran on as candidates to try to direct our 4-year term to. One of the things that we talked about and discussed was our front door. I had people, our board members had people talking about, why do you have 2 traffic signals on Highway 90? And one of the things that we answered in that is we needed to repaint our front door. and we repainting it. We're starting now with we've had phase one where you could see some signage down there and you could see some different things down there that's taking place. It's beginning, it's phase one. Phase two is about to kick off. You're going to see a big difference down there on our inner harbor there, going from Jeff Davis over towards Cleveland to Steve's Marina. It's going to be a lot of work going there. That's $4.3 million. It's a grant. We went and asked specifically for this grant to do that work, to continue. There's other phases that are going to follow after that. But we got $4.3 million, 100% money that we don't have to match. Now, we're working on this. You're going to see a big difference down there. We're going to be able to slow the traffic down. You know, I myself, and the reason I knew, I wanted to do this is I spent some time down in Florida before I was elected, and you come up on these little towns down at Colors and the other little towns down there, and you see this, and, you might be doing 50, and you see this, and you kind of hit the brakes, and you slow down, and you wonder, what's going on here? What is this place? That's our intent when we said we wanted to repaint our front door. And another thing you may have seen in the last couple of weeks, the new sign that went up there at the foot of Pineville and Railroad Street. That started 7.5 years ago. It was part of a beautification that myself and the previous board had talked about during this retreat. How can we beautify Long Beach? This sign, if you'll remember, you always had the post sticking in the ground with, you got different registrations for different events. And we wanted to clean that up. We started on that finally, not 3-4 months ago maybe. Brick will be going up, columns will be going up. This won't be the only place we hope to do this, or my predecessor, will continue this. We're looking at Beat Line and Klondike Road. We're looking at a Beat Line in 28 and Klondike in 28 to do this same type of sign, where we could go in and do shrubbery around there. We could hide the dumpster. We could do some things to beautify that. And people say, well, why would you want to do that? We don't have a road that comes down and goes Highway 90 to bring them downtown. They either come down Beat Line and go Railroad Street, or they take Pineville and come down to get to our downtown. It's one of the first things they see. Let's try to impress our guests that come here that we want to make them come back. We want them to stay. We want them to visit, and we want them to continue to use our small business. We got a lot of mom and pop business. That's something that needs to be continued. I will say this to the candidates here. There's a lot of things that still need to be done. There's a lot of projects that are in the works. You may have to run for a second term to see some of them get to begin and get completed. But I'm encouraged by those of you who have stepped forward to present yourself. If you've never done that before, it takes courage to go in there, not the $10 bill that it takes to register, not the fact that you're a registered qualified elector or voter here in the city of Long Beach. It takes courage of the heart. It takes courage of the mind to put your name on there, because there's people that will say things about you on Facebook. They don't have the courage to come and say to you face to face. And I invite you as citizens, get to these folks that's running. Question them about their thoughts. Read their push cards. Read what they're running on. Make them tell you what they want to do. And not only what they want to do, but how do you plan on accomplishing that? What is your game plan? How are you going to work with the other elected officials that's going to be serving on that board? How will you do that? And that's very important. And you got to have the support of the citizens. So I ask you as citizens to please listen carefully to what's said, pay attention. If you hear something, make yourself a note. If you're like me, I can't remember as well as I used to, but write yourself a note and get in touch with these folks. Remember who said this and who said what. Follow up with questions. Be involved. Be the voter. And I would encourage everybody in the city of Long Beach, let's get out and vote this time around. Let's surpass that 90% of that new free country over in Europe. Let's set the stage for the United States for a turnout. Let's encourage other communities to follow our path, our suit. So that's all I got to say. Thank you all for allowing me to be here and represent the city of Long Beach and speak to you. Thank you.
Well, And that note, we'll also introduce the unopposed candidates that are working for, the aldermen that are working for the city of Long Beach, that are doing the best they can for you guys. I want to say this too, and I met Alderman Fraser about 8 years ago, and he and I have had a great lunches, great conversation, but he leaves me with a lot of questions whenever, but I always know that he means well, because usually I find out the answer later. However, you know, he leaves me with a question on the table, which I guess that's something that I've come around to get to know him of. But also, too, he is a gentleman that was in the mayor's role whenever Mayor Bass was out with the cancer that he had a few years ago, too. The mayor wanted me to say that, but I had to breathe it in. It was the cancer that he had, and Alderman Fraser really did a great job. He did an outstanding job in that time, and he learned a lot. And I want to hear about what that message was, and I want to hear about his collaboration with the upcoming administration. And on this time, I welcome Alderman Donald Fraser.
So I don't know if Hunter was complimenting me or just saying that I wouldn't answer any of his questions. So for that, I do appreciate the Gazebo Gazette having us here today, and everybody that has worked on this. I know this goes without saying, and there's a lot of work that's done behind the scenes before we even come up here. Again, my name is Donald Fraser. I'm the current Alderman at Large. I'm finishing up my second term and will be going into my third term as Alderman at Large. Without the support of my beautiful wife of 25 years and my children, Marley, Aaron, and Matt, I wouldn't be able to do this. A lot of people look at this and go, hey, I could be an alderman, I just have to serve, I have to show up to 2 meetings a month. If that's the way you feel, I have a rude awakening for you. There's hours and hours of phone calls that you're taking from citizens, from developers, from contractors, from different department heads, but that's part of the job, making yourself available. 4 years ago, Hunter had his debate outside at the town hall, at Town Green, but I would be remiss without mentioning Tom Carpenter in the back from the Republican Party had a debate here as well. And I can tell you there is 100 times more people here today than there was that day. And you know what that tells me? That means that our citizens want to be involved. They want to know what's going on. And that's important. And so for that, I give everyone here an applaud. Some of the things that we have handled over the past 4 years, you know, like the mayor said, and I'm going to continue on that, are things you don't see. The biggest accomplishment that this past board has is replacing the Price Brother sewage pipes. A lot of people didn't know that, but if you went by North Nicholson on a Monday morning or on a Tuesday morning and you saw 8 or 9 pump trucks, that was the citizens' sewers, because the main pumps were down. That was costing the city, on a one-day break, that would cost the city $250,000, and that was happening multiple times. You think about that cost. $250,000 for a city of our size running into issues like that. So with that being fixed, that is a huge financial burden that is off of our back. We're wrapping up property acquisition for widening of Commission and Klondike intersection so that there's holding bays there. People that sit there in the morning and afternoon traffic, you know, you'll see the difference. Now, you'll see headaches before it gets better because we'll have construction down there. We have on South Mitchell Road, when the D.R. Horton put in their new neighborhood, they put in what we refer to as a super ditch. It helped a lot of the drainage along Pineville Road, and you've seen significant improvement on that. In 2017, on the night of our swearing in, we saw 500-year rain, if I'm correct there. We had 8 inches of rain in 3 hours. We had no power at City Hall, no air condition, and we were being sworn in. That's right when I knew, hey, it's time to go to work. We're not here to celebrate. It's time to go to work. So a lot of what we've done and a lot of what the board will do this coming term and will benefit from is the infrastructure. Capitalizing on that, it's like building a home. You know, the foundation is there. The only way to go is up. So with that, I'll mention some of the economic development that's happened. I worked directly with Mr. Vincent Burke with the In the Zone daycare that's coming in right there on Klondike Road. Uncle Joe's Pizza on Pineville Road will be opening in April, working with them, working through their issues and opportunities to come in. The Whiskey Hotel on Jeff Davis Avenue. If you notice, the things I'm talking about are not just on Jeff Davis Avenue. They're across the entire city. People feel like we're only concentrating on Jeff Davis Avenue. Well, that's our main thoroughfare, but trust me, there's not a spot in this town that doesn't go without us being concerned about it. We have our Gateway project. People ask about paving. We, as a city, receive just shy of $1 million a year, $1 million a year from internet sales tax money that has to be, no doubt about it, has to be used for roads and bridges. We can't get a paving company to pave our roads for us because we're too small. Think about that. You're willing to spend $1 million a year and you can't get a company to bat an eye at it. That's a huge task. You want to spend money, and people don't want to take it from you. The casino. This board has worked hard and tirelessly to work together to get a lease together for this casino development. Once we put that in place, it's now up to the developers alone. We have given them the open door to develop a casino within our town. That alone is a 30% net increase to our bottom line in this city. We talk about, is that the end-all, be-all of our problems? No, but that is one hell of a start. I don't know anybody in this room that would be offered a 30% net increase to your take-home pay that you would not take it. So whether you're a casino person or not, you have to look at the big picture, the benefits to the school system. Our top 5 school system in the state. That's huge. Meeting with legislators from Jackson, from D.C., to individual investors, we've changed, and it was an eye-opening when I came into town when you were talking to some of these bigger developers. We were known in areas of this country as the unfriendly city. And we've done everything we can to change that. So, and I challenge anybody in this country to put their community up to ours and see who doesn't come out ahead. So with that, I yield to any questions. I know you people aren't here to hear me talk the whole time like a robot. You want to know about your concerns. So.
I'm good with it, Alderman, but I appreciate you.
Okay. So everybody witnessed, I'm not leaving Hunter without unanswered questions.
You answered everything, buddy.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I think you answered quite a number of them for me right there, Alderman Fraser. All right, one of the gentlemen that I've been good friends with for a long time, and I'm surprised that he left from the school district. Well, he's still with the school district, but that he took on this excellent job too as well. Mr. Patrick Bennett, Alderman Patrick Bennett, I welcome you to the stage.
Thank you, Hunter. Thank you for having this today. Like Hunter mentioned, I do work for the school district, run our vocational program. We have a new CTE center, so we're very proud of that. The school district is the largest employer in the city, so I do think that me being able to have a role on the city council is beneficial to that. Looking forward, this upcoming board Like the mayor mentioned, the previous board, this is my end of my first term, so I've been here for 4 years. We were really finishing up projects from previous boards. This next board is going to be tasked with developing the vision of where Long Beach is going to be in 5, 10, or 15 years. We're going to have to come up with a comprehensive plan of where we want to be, goals and deadlines, and how quick we can get to where we want to be as a city. Obviously, bringing in business on Highway 90, that's a big deal to everybody. I hear that all the time, and it's difficult right now. The financial situation in the country, interest rates, insurance, it makes it very difficult for people right now to get the loans needed and things like that. But I do think here in the next 3 or 4 years that we will see some opportunities. I know there's some people who've been sitting on the sidelines that are ready to come get back into the game, and you know, it's going to be our job to lead them to Long Beach, to kind of lay out what we can offer them along with what they can offer us. We do need smart growth that our community is going to get behind. Like the mayor said, it is frustrating sometimes, especially with the harbor and things like that, all the red tape that the bureaucracy creates, and just working around that. It is time also to start planning for the next storm. We need to look at what we have done with the last couple storms, and we need to really kind of do a after-action report. What did we do right? What did we do wrong? How are we going to attack it next time so maybe it doesn't take quite as long to get things where they need to go? Those are all big things. Like I said, and I'm going to be quick. This next board is going to be tasked with kind of setting the vision for the next 10 to 20 years of what Long Beach is going to look like. So it is important that everybody, like the previous members mentioned, get out and vote. I think last time it was 12% of our registered citizens got out and vote. That to me seems absolutely insane. And I know along the coast that number was pretty consistent in each city. I do have a good feeling about this election. It does seem that more people are energized or at least paying attention. And I really have noticed that in the last 4 years since I've gotten on the board, that citizens really are kind of paying attention to what the city is doing. So that is exciting, and I think that's kind of how it's supposed to be. I'm not going to take any more of your time. I appreciate it. It's been an honor to represent Ward 1 for the last 4 years, and I look forward to the next 4. So thank you.
Well, and then before we get to the candidates, the last alderman unopposed, Alderman Pete McGoey, who is one of my good friends. He was the post office, Pasquishan postal officer, the main officer, at least in Pasquishan. I'll let him tell you a little story about that. But that being said, I'm going to go ahead and introduce who is unopposed again, Alderman Pete McGoey. Please welcome.
Thank you. I'm not as old as I appear. I'm 18 days out of hip surgery. I'll lose this cane in about a week. First of all, hello, everybody. And I can tell you it's heartwarming to see this kind of attendance and this level of interest with regards to the upcoming elections. What I would like to say, and nobody's going to have to give me a 30-second warning because I'm going to be brief. There are other candidates here who have things to tell you that's going to affect your future that you need to listen to and pay attention to. But what I want to say is, yes, we have to go to the meetings every 2 times a month, first and third Tuesdays of the month, and it's obvious what goes on in those meetings. You can see it on live stream. You can come to the meetings. To me, what's important is what I do as an alderman in between those meetings, the phone calls, the emails, one as recently as yesterday. Within 30 minutes, I try to act on those. And to me, that's what's important because that's what affects you directly. It's a real concern, and it's matters that mean something to individuals. I would also like to say, as Mayor Bass said, it's encouraging to see a lot of new faces who are putting themselves out here. It makes you vulnerable. and it takes some courage to do that. And I think these things are important to move our city forward. I thank the voters of Ward 6 for what I perceive as a vote of confidence. I look forward to the next 4 years serving as in the best that I can in the best of my ability to continue to move the city forward in a healthy and positive direction. Thank you.
Okay, we'll get this started here now, as I appreciate everyone that was unopposed here and that came to address the media too as well and address the audience. That's the important thing about this. Okay, the first rules that we're going to set up, we have this set up like this. We're going to go by alderman races first. The first race we have is Alderman Bernie Parker against his opponent, Mr. Jesse Allen. Y'all can go ahead and make the stage if you want. And I'll explain the rules too here. Now, the first thing is I have a volunteer panel here, great people that took time out of their day to be able to go here, video, clock, and all the rest, and also too the live stream with Mr. Kenny Triplett back there and his assistant have done a fantastic opportunity providing, not only if you're here, but if you're overseas, from what I've heard from one of the candidates too. It's making everything available for the people in Long Beach. But what's going to happen is the first panel, we're going to ask each candidate a question. Each candidate will get a question. They will have 3 minutes to answer. 3 minutes to answer the question. Then if the opponent of that question wants to rebut or if wants to say their piece, they get a minute and a half to do that. Then after that, if the previous candidate that answered the question wants to counter, they get a minute to counter. That's the Alderman rules, okay, for the first panel and for the second panel, which is going to be from our Long Beach School District. We've got a gentleman over here, Mr. Griffin, who is from the #1 school district in the state of Mississippi, Long Beach, absolutely. And we're looking forward to hearing what they have to say. Then every single race that come up here, we will have, by Mr. Tom Carpenter back there on the garbage can, there is a live audience. Now, if you have a question and you're from the live audience, I'd go back there and sign up before we get done with the question, so then I can present, okay, these are what one of the live audience questions. If you want to stand up and ask the question, I'll bring the paper to you so you can remember what you want or what you wrote. If you do not, if you would rather me read it, as long as it's not anonymous. So I don't do anonymous questions. This is a finding out the citizens' answers for everything, okay? So let's go. I will give a 3-minute introduction for each candidate also as well, and at the end, a 2-minute conclusion after every time, okay?
Okay.
So, Alderman Parker,
Yeah,
you wanna
thanks.
introduce yourself first?
Yeah, thanks for putting this on. We appreciate it. For those who I have not had the opportunity to meet, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Bernie Parker, incumbent alderman for Ward 2. I'm a lifelong resident of Long Beach. Graduated from Long Beach High, attended 2 years general business at Mississippi Gulf Coast College. I also have served 8 years in the Marine Corps Reserve. I had 34 years experience in management at Stennis Space Center. My desire is to see Long Beach thrive, as it is yours is also. I know we can be a great city together. If reelected, I will use my leadership experience to serve you. Economic growth must remain the same at the top of our focus, even if the national economy doesn't make this challenging goal. The Board of Aldermen can continue to encourage development by aggressively marketing our city, promoting targeted tax incentives, and acting in a fair and professional manner so that our city enjoys a positive image in the business community. I'll work with city contractors, the county supervisor to improve streets and drainage. I am dedicated to all youth and senior programs, police and fire department, and our school system, which is so successful. Okay,
Go ahead.
I'm through.
Absolutely. Mr. Allen?
Hey, how's everybody doing today? My name's Jesse Allen. I know most of you, some of you don't know me. You probably know some of my family members. I was born and raised here, played Pee Wee football all the way up through high school, baseball, everything, and graduated in 1989. I love this town. I moved away from here in 1992, following work, supposed to be gone about 6 months, and it took me almost 26 years to get home. And I'm home now, and I'm not leaving again. When we moved down here, I told my wife, I said, we'll move down there if that's what you want to do. I said, but I promise you I'm not leaving again. I'll come visit you if you want to go back to North Mississippi, but I'm staying here. And we made Long Beach our home, and we love it here, and we want to do things to help this city to improve, to grow, and we want to do things in a responsible way to where when we do grow, it's not in a negative way. We want things that are going to be good for the families here. We want our kids to be able to walk around and grandkids to be out, safe, not to have to worry about the dangers that are out there that we're all scared of. We don't want things, like that in this community. And we want to try to grow our police force, our fire department. We want the infrastructure to grow as well as the population of the town. We need to build a small business base here that has a tax revenue that would help take some of the load off of the citizens, because right now we're primarily a citizen tax-based town. And that's not necessarily a bad thing because it's kept things small and simple here. But at the same time, if we're going to grow, we need to be responsible about that and take the right steps in the right directions. I don't know if it takes a full 3 minutes for me to tell you about myself. I don't know. I've been involved in large infrastructure projects from the St. Jude Research Center, FedEx World Headquarters, the Memphis Shelby County Library. My entire adult life, I've been involved in supervision of projects and implementing, getting those things going and making sure that they were on schedule and things were getting done. I would love to have the opportunity to serve as your alderman here in town and see what we can get going. I know with some of the other guys I've talked to that are running, we got a lot of fresh ideas and things that we want to try, and hopefully we'll get the chance. And I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sorry about that. Thank you very much. Alderman Parker, the first question will be for you.
I want to say, my name is Michael McGoey. I will be asking some of your questions here today.
Speak a little louder, Mike.
That's fine, I can do it without it. So, thank you both for coming up here and being brave enough to be responsible candidates and everything. But we are going to have some questions for you. We're going to go with Mr. Parker first.
Okay.
What specific experiences have you brought to the table that make you the most qualified to be reelected as alderman? And how will these qualities help you address the challenges facing our city?
Well, my management experience that I had 34 years of, also for listening to the people and doing what they want to and trying to get things, trying to represent people in my ward plus people in the city. I've helped people in different places and all. Just to be there, listen to them, and get things done. Okay. So that's where I stand.
Mr. Allen?
Yes, sir. Same question?
Yes, sir.
Would you like me to repeat
You repeat the question if you would, please. Yes.
Okay. What specific experiences have you brought to the table that make you the most qualified to be reelected as alderman or be alderman? And how will these qualities help you address? You know what? I gave you the wrong question.
Okay.
I got a better question for you.
Okay.
I got one that's better. So, how will you ensure your constituents are heard and considered in decision making, especially if it comes when it comes to city policies?
One thing I've thought about is a lot to do with communication, and in this modern day of technology with social media, if elected alderman, I think other aldermen should consider this as well. I want to set up a Facebook page just strictly for the aldermen of my ward or for the citizens of my ward, to where they can address me through social media. Of course, my door is always open if you want to come talk to me, you want to call me or whatever, but I think that communication is the main thing that we have to have between the citizens and the aldermen, to where we can identify the issues that we need to address and be proactive in addressing those. I think that each alderman, myself, you know, if I get in there, I would like to identify the commercial property within my ward and find out what the status is on it, especially if it's sitting there stagnant and nothing's happening with it, and see what we can do to push that along to try to get something going. So, there you go.
Thank you very much.
Alderman Parker, would you like to counter on that?
No, I know what he's standing for. I mean, I stand for the same thing, more so listening to the people and trying to, you know, affect the city by more businesses. Business is a thing that we need to strive for, and then, of course, supporting our school systems and in the city itself. And, okay.
Good. Thank you very much.
Mr. Allen, okay, we got the second question for you.
All right.
Michael just asked the second question. I'll ask the first question.
Okay, go ahead again.
How about that?
Yes, ma'am.
What specific experiences have you brought to the table that make you the most qualified to be reelected as, or elected as alderman? And how will these qualities help you address the challenges facing our city?
Well, my management experience in construction projects and large infrastructure projects that I've been involved with over the course of my adult careers, making decisions and trying to forecast what you need to do to see this problem that might come, you know, 6 weeks up the road. You need to try to be able to look ahead to see what's coming so you can deal with it before it gets there sometimes. But a lot of it just has to do with being prepared and taking the right steps to make sure that you're making good decisions. And a lot of that comes from listening to your constituents. So.
Alderman Parker?
I agree that, first of all, business is the main thing we need for our economy. We're dealing with the school systems too and all, but to go ahead and work with the other aldermen to get things passed, enforce our ordinances, and strive to get businesses to come to Long Beach, give them with a tax incentive. Hopefully we can get them with offering that.
Okay. From our school questions, Mr. Griffin? I believe you have the question for Alderman Parker, right?
It's for Mr. Allen.
Okay, Mr. Allen?
All
Yes,
right.
sir.
Do you feel it is important that each alderman be present at a school district function or school fundraiser to provide support? If so, would you work with the school district to organize an event in your ward?
Absolutely. I think it's very important to be involved with things that concern the school, because the school system's our backbone. Without a good school system, nothing else really matters here. We have to be preparing the next generation to step in these leadership roles and to take the steps that need to be done to ensure that the next generation, the generation after that, we continue to thrive as a city. So yes, I would definitely be wanting to be involved in that, in the aspects of the school board meetings or fundraisers or whatever. So yes.
Alderman Parker?
I agree the same thing. I think all the aldermen need to be present for all the board meetings. Also with the school system, if there's a big question going on with the city and all, or with the school system, yeah, they need to be at the board meetings if they can get authorized to be there. But that's it.
Griffin, do you have another question?
Alderman Parker, since you are a citizen, since you are a veteran, do you believe that there is any community activity that you should provide the school district to enhance the successful veteran program?
Well, we have the American Legion in Long Beach, and we also have the post veteran thing on Klondike. I support all military. I'm 100% thinking that that's one of the things that helps, I'm speaking of myself, helped me mature more so by going through boot camp and learning how to follow orders and then serving my country.
Mr. Allen?
I absolutely agree. I didn't serve in the military. I have a son who was several years in the Army, National Guard here in Mississippi, and my grandfather served courageously in World War II in the siege on Berlin. And I always had a lot of respect, a lot of admiration for our service members, and I think we need to support them in every way possible.
Okay. Mr. Carpenter, do we have a live audience question?
From the back, we've received a good question and wanted to bring this. How do you both propose to be an impartial alderman to represent all of the people of your ward?
Either one. Mr. Parker, Alderman?
Yes, I intend to represent all the people in my ward. And then I also, if it's citywide, if anybody needs anything to help aldermen out in that ward and pass it on to them with the situation that might occur. But yes.
Mr. Allen?
I agree. I think that, we have the board meetings once a month, and outside of the board meetings as aldermen, we're not allowed to meet together unless it's something that's publicly accessible. I think we need to set up some work sessions with the aldermen where we have the public come in and we can talk to them about individual needs and things that might be going on in their wards and address that. So when we do come into board meetings, we're maybe a little bit more prepared and knowledgeable of what's going on. And like I stated before, it all comes down to communication. You've got to listen to people. You've got to talk to people. You've got to shake some bushes. And like I said, you just have to be willing to get out there and find out what needs to be done, then try to find the best way to approach it.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much. At the conclusion here, Mr. Allen, you can go ahead first. You got, was it 2 or 3 minutes? 2 minutes, okay.
Well, I'm not going to sing or tap dance, but hey, I appreciate y'all letting me come up here today. It's a great honor to have the chance, even the possibility to serve this city that I've loved for so long. And I hope that y'all give me the opportunity to do something with that. I really do. I really do. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your questions. And if anybody has anything that they need to approach me about, I'm an open book. Y'all come talk to me. We'll sit down. We'll have a glass of tea, a cup of coffee, and we'll discuss whatever you need to talk about. I'm here for you. I appreciate you.
Alderman Parker?
Yes, I'd like to thank everyone here for being here, and again, for the Gazebo putting this on. I'd like to tell you that I'm 100% retired, and I'm open to, at any time that any of my people that in Ward 2 come, or the citywide. So I ask for your support. I ask that you vote for me when you come to the polls. I appreciate it.
Thank you, gentlemen, very much. Okay, we have now Ward 3 with Alderwoman Angie Johnson, and then we will also on this side, we'll have the challengers, Mr. Giuffria and Mrs. Long. Giuffria, apologize. And as someone that I've known for quite a while, Miss Angie Johnson, it's been an honor to serve, to be able to watch you serve, and not only in the school board but also with the city. And I would first like to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you all. Y'all are here because you care, just like me. My name is Angie Johnson, and I'm the current alderman for Ward 3. And I hope to be the next alderman for Ward 3. It's been an honor and a privilege of serving and working with the other aldermen. Long Beach is a unique community. We're growing, and it's a great community to live in. We cherish our small town atmosphere, but we must plan carefully to ensure that our quality of life remains while we grow economically, but we have to grow in a smart way. How do we do that? First of all, we need to take our strategic plan and update it. We cannot do anything without a foundation, and that is our foundation for growth. We have to make sure that we grow fiscally responsibly also, creating a sustainable business plan and continuing to create opportunities, not only for our existing businesses, but new businesses. We need to continue to strengthen our governmental relations that we already have and make new ones. We must continue to update ordinances. Ordinances are what we live by. So we need to update our ordinances, have accountability for those ordinances, enforce property owners to hold up to their responsibility with their buildings and their land. And we need to create pathways for collaboration, for communication with our community to hear what y'all have to say also. I have supported much-needed infrastructure and improvements in our sewage, drainage, and water, which that is the foundation that we have laid for future of Long Beach, and I'm very proud of that. I've helped move forward roadway intersection improvements, enhancements to our public parks, our cemetery, our Fetch Dog Park, restoration of Greenville, and I've also been instrumental in some of our ordinances being created, such as golf cart and short-term rentals, plus many others that we are working on, because we all know our ordinances do need to be updated. I'm very excited that Long Beach was chosen to be the first city in the state to have the Safe Haven Baby Box location. I'm also very supportive and proud of our school. People come here because of our school, and we have to have a collaboration in order for people to come here and support our school. They are a top-rated school, and we want that recognition in our city. I've brought forth, and we've created the Economic Development Committee. I'm looking forward to helping shape the landscape of the city through community collaboration and strategic planning. I was successful in bringing forth also the comments on the board agenda, the public comments, for you to have input.
Your time's up.
Wow,
It goes fast.
that went fast.
It can go very fast or very
I should have
slow.
talked faster.
Go ahead and finish if you'd like.
No, I don't want to overstep.
Okay. Mr. Joey?
Thank you all for having me. I'm Joey Jafria. Cheap shout out, I understand we have an international audience watching us today. And my daughter is in Qatar, Doha, Qatar. They're in the oil, her and her husband is in the oil business. And they're watching this live stream. So, hey, Robin, appreciate you all watching us. And God bless you all and stay safe. You know, I'm Joey Jafria, and I'm from Long Beach, senior class of 73. And I know most of the people in Long Beach. I've been here most of my life. However, when I finished in Long Beach high school, I went to college at Perk and then at Southern. I finished there. And I went to work for a Fortune 500 company. And I would love to have come back to Long Beach and worked, but there just was not many Fortune 500 companies here. So I went to Jackson, Mississippi, and I started there, and I got into the telecommunications business, and I formed and started a couple of telephone companies successfully, and then bought and sold them and started them, and had great experience there. I was in the .com business when it started, and I was in the cellular business from the get-go. And I guess from my perspective, I'm the businessman in this race. And I look at this kind of like Donald Trump is coming in, and he's done a phenomenal job as being a businessman and looking at all the things that we've done for our country. And I want to bring those same things, our business sense and our business acumen, to our city. So that one point is what I think differentiates me from everybody else that's in this race. I've decided to come home. You know, there was a movie back in 1939. It was this lady a little girl from Kansas, and she talked about there's no place like home. There's no place like home. And she was right. There is no place like home. But thank you for the opportunity to at least put forth my efforts and my history and my experience to work in your Ward 3. I'll look forward to your support and answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Miss Erica?
Well, here, I'm short. Hold on a second. Why, thank you. I think that'll do just fine. All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Erica Long. I am not necessarily like everyone else here. I'm not a business person in terms of traveling the country. I'm actually not even from here. I am from Jacksonville, Florida. I've lived here for 9 years, though, and I think that being someone that's not necessarily from the coast and having the privilege to move here gives you a completely different perspective for what we all have here. and we cannot take that for granted. This is a beautiful place with a reasonable cost of living compared to the rest of the country. We've all got some issues, but I think that as a community, we're moving in a positive forward direction. I'm not a politician. I am a neighbor. I care about this place so much. I care about our schools. I have been the PTO president at the Reeves Elementary School for the past 2 years, with involvement in that for 4 as the treasurer and as the community outreach person there. I also was honored to receive Parent of the Year, not only for Reeves Elementary School, but for the whole school district in 2023-2024 school year, so last school year. And one of the reasons that I was able to get that award was due to how much service I put into the schools. And I was responsible, and not solely responsible, we have a fantastic team, but we were able to raise over $40,000 for to help add on additional equipment to the playground that the school system was able to provide for us. And that's in addition to the fundraising that we were doing for other projects in the school that we, a lot of people don't realize the PTOs pay for. But, beyond the PTO, I do work downtown. I talk to residents every single day from every walk of life. I frequent the local businesses. I don't know, I think Bankhouse Coffee might get half my check every week. I'm speaking to people from all walks of life. I'm not retired yet, and I hope I get there one day, but I am out in the community every single day, not only because, I live here, but because I work here. I'm also very active in the school, so I'm speaking to parents, students, teachers. We all want safe streets, we all want strong schools, and we all want a vibrant economy. And that's why I believe in practical solutions that benefit everyday life, whether it's supporting your local businesses or ensuring that our neighborhoods are safe for our children to play in. I'm committed to working with the people who live and work here to make those goals a reality. Thank you. I'm Erica Long, and vote for me, Ward 3.
Thank you. The first question I have for you is Alderwoman Johnson. Mike, scoot up to the mic so they can hear you.
All right. So thank you for coming out here and being part of this. But my first question for you is, what policies should the Board of Aldermen support to improve city infrastructure and promote economic growth?
First, you have to have a strategic plan. With your strategic plan, that lays out what you do with the growth of your city. When you know what your city is about and you have community input, you know where you're going. A strategic plan lays the path for the past, the present, and the future. So in order to grow, you have to have that. You also have to have a sound business plan. I have retired after 31 years of being an executive assistant at Mayoral Hospital. I've also worked for the Board of Trustees. I'm the president of a foundation for the past 15 years. So having that business, I've also owned 2 businesses, having the business and applying that to our ordinances and our policies only helps strengthen where Long Beach can go, because I believe I can bring that positive business attitude in anything I do with our choices.
Okay. Thank you very much. Either one, Mr. Joey, Miss Erica, either one.
The microphone's already lowered. I'll let you, there you go.
Fair enough.
And I'll raise it up.
Miss Erica?
Could you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Yes. What policies should the Board of Aldermen support to improve city infrastructure and promote economic growth?
I think that infrastructure is one of the most important things in our community right now. Then we need to continue the work that the previous administration has started. We cannot be successful, bring in new businesses, and continue to build new homes if we're not consistently working on infrastructure. We do need to, we do have many projects that have happened, but if you look, we've got many more to come, including the railroad project. And I support continuing that work, and I would love to be a part of continuing that. I have no interest in stopping it.
okay? Infrastructure, in my opinion, is a byproduct of having the money and the revenue to perform it. You know, we hear a lot about economic development. We have a $22 million business here, okay? I think it needs to be looked at as a business. And we have to do everything we can to put revenue in the top line of this business and not just tax the heck out of all of our citizens like we've been doing, okay? So when I say economic development, I mean we need to put a plan in place that has teeth. We need to have an economic development person assigned to full-time to go after a new business. We have to grow the top line. We can't save ourselves into a profit. We have to be able to run this like an efficient business. And that's the experience I've had in the past. That's my forte. And that's what I'd like to do here in Long Beach. So basically, it's come in there, get revenue, find revenue streams, and then we can take care of not only just infrastructure, but we have a whole litany of problems and issues that we need to be taken care of. But it all takes capital. It all takes revenue. And we need to focus on that and not kid ourselves that we can go back to the piggy bank and start taxing our citizens. We've had enough. I've talked to the citizens, and they've had enough. Thank you.
Alderwoman Johnson, you have a counter to that if you'd like.
Yes. I was actually the only alderman that voted against the tax increase that was passed 2 years ago. I also believe in our infrastructure, like I said. In order to have all of this, as I said, the strategic plan builds out the growth for our businesses. Long Beach needs to decide with the strategic plan where we want to be. We can attract business. We decide what Long Beach needs. We need to grow our revenue, yes, but we need to do it with smart choices. But we need to be the ones to decide what type businesses we want in our city.
Thank you. Mr. Joey, I believe the next question is for you.
Oh, for me? Okay.
The next question is for you.
Okay.
How should the Board of Aldermen enforce ethical standards to prevent conflicts of interest among city officials?
Wow. One of the first things I did when I qualified to run for this office. I've never run for a political office before, but I had to sign an ethics form with the state of Mississippi, and I think that's a start. And I think that's a good thing that I think it was the Secretary of State, his office does that, Mike? Yeah. And, that's a good thing. And I think ethics, it all boils down to, in my opinion, integrity. Do you have integrity? And if you do, you're clean, you're fine. One of the things that I always did in my businesses is I kept a clean plate. And whenever a crumb hit the plate, I saw it. But unfortunately, sometimes in business and it's also in government that we don't keep a clean plate. We have it to where we miss the little things in our city. We bypass the little things, and when you miss the little things, quite frankly, you'll often miss the larger things. So when it comes down to ethics and integrity, I support that. And I think any conflicts of interest, if you have any type of conflict of interest, you need to recuse yourself. I know there will be votes on a Board of Aldermen that some individuals might have those conflicts. And they need to recuse themselves just like members of Congress do that. So, yes, that's a great question. Thank you for asking it. I hope I've answered it properly to your satisfaction.
Sure,
Thank
yeah.
you.
And
Miss Erica?
Thank you.
do you need me to repeat the
I
question?
would love it if you would, yes, ma'am.
Okay, sure. How should the Board of Aldermen enforce ethical standards to prevent conflicts of interest among city officials?
Well, I know that we all come from different areas. All of our aldermen have different backgrounds, and this is a small town. So I know that there probably are going to be some scenarios where, city business might encroach onto your personal business. And I know that as a resident of our town, I've heard people say, and I've even thought to myself, well, how did that company get to do that? They didn't do a great job. They must know somebody in City Hall. And I think that we need to figure out a solution together as a city, at City Hall and as residents to figure out, how do we stop thinking like that? We've got to have more transparency. I think that it's very important for City Hall to, have a very active presence on social media. Make sure that we are just ensuring people that there is ethics in City Hall before we talk about a plan, a plan in place. I think it's just all about transparency. And if, like he said, if you do have something to do with a project in town, you do need to you do need to opt out. But that's my answer to the question.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Johnson?
Do you need me to repeat?
No, I think at Memorial that I worked at, we were required to file conflict of interest and with the state. With the city, our auditors, which ensure every penny of our money is documented, they have requirements that they make us fill out. We have to ensure if anybody on the board has an interest in a business, they would not be able to vote. We can't have people that are on the board that have active businesses that are out there. You would go to jail. That's a big conflict of interest. So making sure that is done annually through our auditors. We are checked, and we have checks and balances to make sure that we are within our realm. I know that Mr. Bennett works at the school. He will recuse himself every time that he needs to. We all do. If we do not need to vote on something, we do not. But that is policy by our auditors and self-control.
Mr. Joey, a counter? Or a retort?
No, everything is, I'm fine. I don't have a reply to that.
All right, then the next question we have is Ms. Long.
We need a third podium here.
In your opinion, what is the primary role of an alderman, and how would you prioritize serving your community within the city? Your constituents, within the city.
Thank you for that question. The primary role to me as an alderman would be to be the voice between the residents of our town or of our ward and our town and City Hall. Again, I want to talk about transparency and making sure that the voice of our people get to City Hall properly. The town hall meetings are at 5 o'clock on Tuesday. I know that I'm a working parent, and I always watch them, but I know normal people cannot rush home from work, get ready, go to the meeting, and then somehow still cook dinner. So I think it's very important that we have someone who is willing and ready and able to be that voice for our residents and take them to City Hall. And I think that I am the person for that job.
Mr. Joey?
I think the alderman obviously is a legislative branch of our government. That's a real serious undertaking, and I take it very seriously. I'm retired. I'm coming out of retirement to do this. I don't play golf, and I don't fish and hunt. I'm going to give a full-time effort to this position. And I think it's, I have plans. I hear all these words about transparency, and, my idea is I don't want to get into keyboard warriors on the internet and so forth. I want to have quarterly meetings with my constituents at USM. I want to have a room rented there every quarter, and I want to have interface with all these constituents. I want to hear from them, and it's going to be a two-way street. So those are some of the things that I'd like to do from a transparency standpoint. But no, this job is very serious. We set the policy, we set the laws down on how we were going to govern the city. And I take those extremely seriously, and I don't take them lightly. And I'm here for business, and I mean business. No one, and I say no one, is going to outwork me in this position. I promise you that. Thank you.
Alderwoman Johnson?
An alderman is the voice of our ward and our community. We all have to police our own ward, but what we need is input. We're very open to receiving a communication. Can it be better? Yes, it always can. What types of communication does our ward want best? Do you want just email? That's what we have to decide. Texting, email, Facebook, what is the best form of communication? An alderman needs to make sure. I drive our ward, I look out, and after a rain, I want to know who's flooding, who isn't flooding. Our roads are in disrepair. Those are on the list to be paved. But we are here to hear you and bring that, not only for me and our mayor, but we have 6 wards. So we have to collaborate with our aldermen to get to one specific goal, and that is making our city better amongst us. I police Ward 3, but all of us have the city to police. So it takes a village.
Thank you. Ms. Long, would you like to counter any of that? Or?
I think that I do agree with that, and I think that as long as whoever our alderman is moving forward, you know, I think that a lot of people in town have told me that they don't feel heard, and that no matter who it is, we've got to figure out a plan. We've got to figure out a way for the people to get their voice heard at City Hall. And again, I do believe that I can be that person, as I'm in the community day to day, all the time, at the school, on Jeff Davis, at my house, on social media. I'm the person that will get the message to City Hall.
Thank you. Griffin, do you have a question?
Yes, this is for Mr. Joey. Would you vote for a school mill increase in the annual budget if it was beneficial for the school district but not the taxpayers?
Oh, that's a good question. Huh. You hit home there. You know, everything we do, we have to look at, there's a cause and effect for everything. We have to look at what is the impact going to be in a short term, midterm, and a long term. So that's a real good question. My answer is going to be, it all depends on what we're trying to do with that increase in millage, okay? If we're going to earmark it for one specific pork barrel item, you know, that might not be what we want to do. But if it's for the betterment of our city, then we have to be smart enough and mature enough to be able to understand that and vote up or down if we want to do that. But when you start talking about increasing millage rates and so forth, before you're going to have to really justify something to me you're going to have to make a business case for me, okay? A business case, not an emotional case, but a business case.
Okay. Alderwoman Johnson, if you would like to respond to that.
Serving on the school board for 11 years has taught me the school has to fight for every dime and nickel just like our city does. Voting for something that would increase the value of the education of our children, it would also, if it enhances our city, our school is bringing in people to live here. That is increasing our tax base. But our city, we have to figure out our wants and our needs. I would aggressively pursue supporting the school, but we have to do it within our fiscal responsibility. I support the school 100%, but it is a business. The city is a business, and we have to run it like a business. So it depends on what we are supporting. I know that we're going to need new schools in the future. We're going to have to figure out, bring that business in and get those schools. So yes, I would support it, but would have to know first the end game and what it is going to do to our bottom line.
Ms. Erica?
Thank you. So that is a fantastic question, and I will tell you that when I first did move to Long Beach was when we were going through the school bond issue, where we were all facing the decision of whether or not we wanted to raise our taxes. One of the already highest tax cities on the coast to enhance and rebuild our high school. And I think that we really did go about doing that in a positive way. We had town halls, we were talking, we had situations where we were explaining to the residents in the cities what was going to happen to the school. And I think that if we ever have a situation where we need to vote to raise millage for something so important as our schools, that we do need to continue to have these town halls and hear from the residents. We need to hear from the taxpayers in this town, and make an informed decision. Our education of our children is vital to the city of Long Beach and their future. So I think that residents need to take a very, very firm stance on understanding that sometimes you do have to raise taxes so that the school system continues to grow, but also we need to do it in a smart way and get the real perspective of our residents that are going to have to pay those taxes for the long term.
Mr. Joey, would you like to retort?
Real quick, you know, it all boils down to this. We can't make our city work and be the city we want to be on residential business and taxing our residences. We just can't make it. It's false economy to look at it from that standpoint. We have to increase economic development, because that's going to drive all of these things, having great schools, having great infrastructure, being a great place to live. You know, we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of derelict properties, for an example. We have an image problem that we need to correct, and we need to be able to say it without being annihilated on social media if you say anything like we need to improve in certain areas. We have some room for improvement. I've gone out and I've talked to all the citizens in Ward 3, or most of them, and I'm hearing what they're saying, and they're right. We can do better. I'm convinced we can do better. And I'm the candidate to do that for you. Okay? Thank you.
Nathan, do you have another question?
This is for Mrs.
Sorry,
Long.
Griffin, apologize.
Oh. You're good. Ms. Long, do you believe that an alderman should be part of leadership team within the school district?
I feel a little targeted by this question. So, as everyone knows, I am the PTO president at Reeves Elementary School. I think that I have actually thought about this question quite a bit since I've started this journey. And if the school district and if the principal of the school and the residents of Long Beach found that I needed to step down from that position so that I can serve the city in a bigger way, I would be open to doing that. We have a fantastic team at the school that I'm involved in, and as my children move up, I think that it was a better service to me to be a part of our town where I can hopefully have an impact on our education system's growth. And so this would be, you know, one way or another, I'm always going to be a person that is at the school functions, advocating for schools, and if the role in which I do that has to change, then that is fine with me.
Alderwoman Johnson?
Actually, the school and the city are two separate entities. The city does not govern the school. The school is governed by the state. I understand where it may cross over, as in Mr. Bennett's situation. We approve the school's budget. We don't get in their business. We support them and help them. So, as Erica said, she can be fully committed to her PTO, and it would not be a conflict with the board. We're here to govern and see that our city has the best opportunity. So I don't see a big conflict in that, because we are two separate entities.
Mr. Joey? Okay, let's see. Now, we go to questions?
Oh, we have one more.
Okay, one more. There we go.
This is for Alderwoman Johnson. As a former school board member and current incumbent, sorry, what trait do you look for in an appointment of a new school board member each year? I'm sorry about that. I didn't write the.
That was pretty good.
I think you had it right.
Oh my God.
I lost the last sentence. I'm sorry.
Griffin, if you don't mind repeating the questions.
As a former school board member and current incumbent. Sorry, I've never heard that word before. What trait do you look for in an appointment of a new school board member each year? Sorry again.
Oh, no, that's fine. I think our school board needs to be governed by people who are acclimated to our community, They have to be a resident. A strong financial background. Our school has to fight, as I said, for every nickel and dime. They really do. So having a person on there that is committed, it's a 5-year term. So a person needs to be committed to that position. Business sense is definitely a plus. It can only help them. Being involved, it's a big commitment. The city is a big commitment, so is the school. You're at every activity. You want to promote your school. You're going to give your last dime to somebody that needs a cookie or a chocolate bar bought. But the person that's going to sit there and lead the school needs to demonstrate leadership ability, needs to be vested, needs to want the best for the school and not have any conflicts, because most of us have children that are going to be a part of that school district. You have to be able to separate your wanting to protect one child to look at a whole. So it's a significant role and one for a dedicated person. And I applaud anybody that goes and puts in their application, and I would hope I would see more, because that is a very good board to sit on and an active board.
Thank you. Miss Erica.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that our school board is a fantastic area to be. I don't want anyone to, confuse the school board and alderman, mayor, the city hall. And I'd like to make sure everyone knows that, if I am elected alderman here, I do understand that as much as I do love our schools, I am just, again, the voice of our people, and any messages that anyone were to tell me from the residents, I'd be happy about the school board to take to City Hall. I love our school system here. I think we are phenomenal, and I like she said, it's a very, very amazing position to be in, and I respect every single person that does it.
Mr. Joey?
I don't know a lot about school board. I know that what the board does as far as selecting school board members. I need to drill into that a little bit deeper. But what you're looking at is a product of the Long Beach school system. That's me, okay? So, I think I got a good education here. And, it's come a long way. We've had a lot of good people that have served on the board of education. And I commend those people who have the time and the resources to dedicate to that. I fully support that. I fully support education. That's one of the mission critical things that we need to consider when we look at our future of our city. But I always focus back down into business. There's some areas that I'm not as familiar with that I need to make myself familiar with. But when it comes down to running a business, I hearken back to my strengths and my experience. And I'd like for you guys to take advantage of it. Thank you very much.
Alderwoman Johnson?
No, I think that we all know we just need strong city leadership and strong school board leadership. And I applaud the ones that are already on the school board. They've done a fantastic job.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, we'll have Mr. Tom back here if we have any live audience questions. And remember, these are not anonymous, so you should probably stand up and ask them.
Okay. This came from Susan, who liked the question that the first set of candidates got, so she wanted this repeated for each set of alderman and mayor. That question again is, how do you propose to be an impartial alderman to represent all of the people of your ward?
Is that directed towards a specific person? Okay. Okay. Alderwoman Johnson?
Like I said, you have to work with the other aldermen. Sure, I'm going to seek out what Ward 3 needs and put that on our list. And I'm going to also talk with the other aldermen, because without their support, we cannot get to where we want to be. So bringing issues, hearing input from Ward 3 constituents, bringing those issues forward, and talking to them, collaborating them, making sure that they fit in our strategic plan. The basis of our city has to be that strategic plan. that lays the foundation for what we are going to do and how we're going to grow. So I can't stress that enough, but it all has to do with working together to make our city better.
Thank you. Mr. Joey?
Yeah, I'm going to answer that this way. You know, I'm financing my own campaign. I'm not taking any money from any special interest. I don't owe anybody anything. I owe all the constituents of Ward 3, all of them equally. So, you know, I hope you can appreciate that. I've been blessed to be able to be in this position. I'm fortunate to do this. And, you know, representing everyone is mission critical. I listen, you know, like in business, I hearken back to business. I don't surround myself with yes people. If there's one person in the back of the room that's shaking their head no and everybody's yes, I want to hear from that person, because those people might have a perspective that I haven't seen. And the same with our constituents. We don't want to just listen to, you know, we don't listen to everybody, but there might be one nugget in there that we can take and act upon that no one else has thought about. It's going to take all of us. I'm not the expert. I'm going to rely on these constituents and these members of the ward to help me in this position. Thank you.
Ms. Erica?
So I have been in leadership positions my whole life. In addition to being the president of the PTO, where I do have to, you know, I do have a board. I have a treasurer, I've got a secretary, we've got volunteers that while I might be the president, I don't make the decisions by myself. We all talk, we all discuss, and I think that that's so important. I have the skills where we don't always agree, but we always do come to an agreement that's going to be the best for the project that we're going forward on. In my leadership roles in my professional life, I do, you know, I don't just say like what I say goes. I talk to people. I talk to the owner. I talk to down to the dishwasher, because, you know, it's so important to hear what everyone has to say. And in our town, we all come from different walks of life, but what the important thing is that we all had the courage and the commitment to run for office. And if we're all going to be in that room together, we don't need to fight. We need to get along. We need to come up with solutions, understand why we may agree or disagree, and find some common ground.
Thank you. We have one more live audience question.
Hi, I'm Mariana. I live in Ward 3. So my question, and I'll direct it to Erica first, but I would like to hear all of your responses. How would the candidates propose making information about the operations and decision of the board more available to the citizens of Long Beach? Because I find it difficult to find information on the website sometimes.
And just to let you know, each person can answer this question too. Go ahead, Ms. Erica.
Thank you so much for the question. You know, I also find that it's challenging to get information, especially on, you know, in this day and age, everyone's on social media. And when I started this journey, I said to myself, I need to know everything about everything Long Beach. I've listened to the meetings, I read the newspaper, I look at the website, I'm on the mayor's Facebook page, but I still found it so hard to get the most basic information, like such as ordinances. You know, it's very difficult to look them up. There's some of them are as old as, I think I saw one from 1987. You know, that's 38 years ago. So I think it's so important that we figure out, for one, get in someone in IT to get on that website and make these ordinances searchable, make the minutes more readable. I also think it would be so important as an alderman, not just for our ward, but all across the board, to continue to do meet and greets. You know, everyone running right now is doing meet and greets. We're all meeting the candidates. We're trying to get your vote. But I also think it's so important that we continue to do meet and greets. And while I don't want to promise a certain time frame once a month, but I do promise that I will make frequent meet and greets happen so that we can get together and talk. I can find out, you know, what you need to know. I would love to have a social media page for Ward 3. And, you know, I want to hear about what's bothering you, but I think we also need to have a forum for what you're excited about. You know, I live on Edmond Drive. We just got our street paved and it looks incredible. And I was so worried that it was not going to go right. And I know I talked to Miss Angie over there, but my kids can actually ride their bikes on the street today. But if we would have had a way for the city to tell the residents in a more open way, I wouldn't have been so worried. If I would have known, all right, we're going to pave it on this day and we're going to completely strip the street and it's going to be perfect, I wouldn't have been worried for 9 months that my kids weren't going to be able to ride their bikes. So I think you're right. We've got to get the word out to the residents, not just in Ward 3, but all along the city. And I think a lot of it's going to start with social media. Everyone is on social media. Our website's got to be updated. It's got to be user-friendly as well. Thank you.
Alderwoman Johnson?
I think you're totally correct. We need to overhaul in our website. I think a collaboration with our CTE students would be great. I think our youth can come in and create a website that is easily accessible. It is an arduous process to look for our ordinances. I think all of our forms need to be fillable forms, so when you go online, you can pop up a form, fill it out, send it in. You know, do PayPal and stuff online. It is. I mean, I believe they've come a long way, but we have a long way to go. Automating our system, making it easier. But I do know there are some people that aren't online. And so we have to be sure to get our information through our newspapers and let them know what's going on. Having a timeline and posting that on our website, better information, better communication, I truly believe we can do a better job. I know we can do a better job. And I think we need to use our youth to help us and create that avenue.
Mr. Joey?
I like everything I just heard. You know, they say a man's got to know his limitations. When it comes to developing websites and doing all this, that's out of my wheelhouse. I'm not the expert in that. However, there are some people that are experts in it, and I will lean in on them and ask them to help and make things. All the things these ladies said is I totally agree with. But I yield some of my time to my fellow candidates to some prior questions, and I want to take this opportunity. I see I got a couple of minutes here, but I want to take this opportunity to correct a mistake. And it's a massive mistake, and I apologize. I failed to recognize my impressive wife, Linda. Will you please stand, Linda? That's my wife, Linda. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you so much for your support of me and my campaign. And Ken Sharp is here also. Mr. Sharp, good to see you. And
you know, Mr. Joey, we do have a conclusion speech too, so.
Okay. But I had to get it out of there before I forgot it, okay? Thank you.
All right. On that note, that was the last audience question we have. Mr. Joey, your conclusion.
Okay, in conclusion, now that I got the most important part out of the way, I just want to tell you that I have I've come back home for a reason. I don't know, you know, God works in strange and mysterious ways, but I think I've been called to do this. And I have really enjoyed going out and speaking to all the Ward 3 constituents. Win, lose, or draw, I told some of the constituents this. I'm way ahead of the game because I have met the most incredible people that I've never would have had a chance to meet had I not done this. So I want to thank you for that. And know that I will feel like fulfilled regardless of how this comes out. Though we hope and pray that we're successful, but we'll put our best foot forward. But let me just say this. I feel Long Beach can do better. I'm doing this because I feel we can do a better job than what's been happening. I've gone out and talked and spoke with the constituents, and I hear some of them say that they don't know who their alderperson is or alderman is. I can assure you of this. They will know who I am, and and I'll make sure of that. And I'm here to do your will. And I want to close with this line from a movie that some of you probably saw. It was from Jerry Maguire. And one of the lines that Tom Cruise had in that movie, he said, "Help me help you." So I want to part tonight and say, help me help you, the citizens of Ward 3, the citizens of Long Beach. Thank you very much. God bless you, and God bless America.
Mrs. Long?
All right. Well, I would love to thank everyone that is here this evening, that is here to hear us all out. I know that in our last election, you know, like Donald Fraser said earlier, we did not have a great turnout. We had 12%, actually. So I really hope that, you know, the people here understand how important that is, that you're here, that you're listening, and that you're involved, as well as the people that are watching live. I firmly believe that by coming together, we can create a meaningful change in Long Beach. It starts with open conversations, listening to each other's concerns, and finding common ground. As your neighbor, your fellow resident, I'm not here to make promises that I cannot keep, but to work alongside you, to listen to your concerns and advocate for solutions that reflect our shared values. Again, as a resident here, a mother, a wife, a working person, and an active member of the community, I think that I am the best person to get the point across that Ward 3 and the residents of Long Beach want to be heard.
Alderwoman Johnson?
I ran my first term because I wanted to make a difference. I was committed. I saw things I wanted to see for our future, and I feel like I have been able to be instrumental in implementing those tasks. Sure, we had from the previous board things we brought forward, but the last 4 years we have accomplished a lot, laying the foundation with the new sewage, water, and drainage infrastructure is monumental. I look forward to continuing projects. I look forward to our girls' softball field that will be starting in the next couple of months. I look forward to finishing the harbor, which has taken a lot, but as our mayor said, it does take a long time to make these things happen. I feel that my background, I have owned 2 businesses. I am the president of Coast Cares Foundation. We give back to our community. I feel like I wanted to give back in brownies. My career started with being a brownie and a Girl Scout and going forward. In student government, all I wanted to do was help and lead. And that's what I want to do now. I want to continue doing the things that we have laid the path for, and to be a better alderman, look for ways to improve myself, and listen better. And I know I can do those things because I have. I want to be an effective leader for you. I want to stand up for integrity, communication, and accountability. I am open to listen to anything you have to say and apply it. So I appreciate the support I have gotten, and I hope to get your vote and feel that I am the best person for the alderman of Ward 3.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. And with Ward 4, we welcome Alderman Timothy McCaffrey and Skip Ellsworth. Thank you, gentlemen. Alderman McCaffrey.
Yep, my name is Timothy McCaffrey. I'm running for re-election in Ward 4. I'm a lifelong resident of Long Beach. Grew up here, went to Long Beach High School, graduated in '04. That's when I went to work in a family business. We've been in business 50 years now in Long Beach, developing subdivisions. I mainly focus on infrastructure, and I think...
Alderman, I don't mean to stop you, but just put the microphone a little bit closer to, there you go. Thank you.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so like I said, working a family business in Long Beach for over 20 years now, developing subdivisions, working with the infrastructure. And my knowledge of that, I think, has brought a lot of help to the board, working on these major projects we've been working on over the past 8 years since I've been in office. And I've really enjoyed it, and I'd love to continue. So,
Mr. Ellsworth.
Yeah, my name is Skip Ellsworth, a lifelong resident of Long Beach, as most everybody else is. I graduated here in 1986. In 1992, I joined Long Beach Fire Department. I worked there until 2004. 2004, I transitioned to Biloxi Fire Department. I worked there until 2017 when I retired. In 2019, I went back to work for Harrison County Fire Service as their fire prevention officer, Back in 2010, I started a fire code consulting company called Fire Code Compliance. I do a lot of work in the city of Long Beach. I do a lot of work for the city of Long Beach. If I am elected, I will not be doing anything for the city anymore, as that would be a conflict of interest. But I'm so passionate about what I think I can bring to the table, I'm not worried about that. Now, family-wise, I've been married for 25 years. My wife, Misty, sitting in the back there. We have 3 children, 2 bonus daughters, and 2 grandchildren. All of our children graduated from Long Beach. Our middle son works for Long Beach. So as Mr. Pete did, anything that comes up with the fire department, I will have to excuse myself from those votes. We wouldn't want that to be a conflict of interest. Pretty much it.
There we go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, too, this time there won't be a sheet in the back, but if there wants to be a live audience question, mention that to Mr. Carpenter back in the back, too, and we'll, at the end of the second panel, we'll have the questions for Mr. Carpenter. And the first question we have directed to Mr. McGill.
All right, the first question is going to go to Mr. McCaffrey. What should be done about the abandoned or blighted properties, and what policies should the Board of Aldermen enact to address them differently?
That's a hard question. We have so many blighted properties in Long Beach, and all of us go out constantly trying to find these properties, and there's a long process to go through. And number one, get the citizens involved, contacting us about these properties, because we can drive these roads all day long. We cannot identify them all. So bring them to our attention so we can fill out the proper paperwork through the building code enforcement so we can start moving forward with these. Because it is a very long process to go through for us to get anything done. And we've been fighting some of these properties for years, taking them through the county process and all that, and still nothing is done. The courts will rule on it in the owner's favor, and we have to start completely over. So that aspect, I don't know where we go from there, except continuing to contact the owners and bring them back to City Hall over and over and over again, trying to force them to clean these properties.
Mr. Ellsworth?
So, first I'd like to ask if there is a city ordinance in regards to blighted or menaced properties. There is one?
Yes.
Okay. So, everything is a process. So if we have an ordinance, and it's an updated ordinance, there should be a process how everything works, all the way down to sending city employees to clean it up and turn around and getting their money back. So I don't understand the problem there if we have the ordinance and the processes are followed.
Okay. Second question.
Would you support,
Ms. Linda, yeah, there you go.
would you support the
This-
creation?
This question is for Mr. Ellsworth?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
sorry. Would you support the creation of neighborhood councils or advisory boards to give residents more input in city decisions?
I would actually encourage neighborhood councils. So your constituents of your ward, that's who you work for. That's who you get all of your information from. And we have a lot of very smart, talented people in our city, in our wards. And we don't communicate. There's no civic engagement. And I think if we started something like that, we could find out a lot. The only way to get in touch with your alderman is either phone calls, text, or email. Everybody works. It's hard to get in touch with them. Y'all work a lot. I mean, it's just, they're busy. But if you had neighborhood councils, they can go through all of their constituents, they can go through all the neighborhoods, and they can get all this stuff together, and they can bring it to their alderman. I think it would be a great idea.
Alderman McCaffrey?
I would say I cannot agree more. Everybody that sits on this board, well, most of us have full-time jobs. We don't do this full-time. We do it because it's a passion of ours. So I think it would be very good to get every single ward in Long Beach to get a small group together to reach out to their neighbors and everything. And let's have a meeting once a month to sit down and go over the problems in each ward. Then the aldermen can get together and discuss amongst each other the problems as a whole and see what we can do as a city to fix all these issues. I think that's something I would really like to look into.
Mr. Ellsworth, anything?
Oh, no, I agree with everything you said.
Okay. Griffin?
All right. Mr. Ellsworth, do you feel that the school district needs an increased amount of school resource officers with more funding?
I'm sorry.
Do you feel that the school district needs an increased amount of school resource officers with more funding?
Absolutely, 100%. So the safety of our children are the most important thing. The most important thing. Now, in the last few years, security in our school districts come a long way, a long way. When I went to school there, which was a long time ago, there were no fences, there were no hallways. Everybody could walk right through the front door. Obviously, in these times, you can't afford to do that. I mean, it's not like that anymore. There's no community trust. It's just, if we're blessed that we have not had an incident like they're saying all over the country. The very first school shooting was in Pearl, Mississippi in 1998. Can't tell you for sure, but it was the end of the 90s. And the reason why I know that is because at the time I was working for Harrison County Sheriff's Department, and we were in Jackson when that shooting took place. And it snowballed from there. So yeah, I think school security, no matter what it costs, we'll come up with the money somewhere, is of the utmost importance.
Alderman McCaffrey?
I cannot agree more. Even though we live in a nice, quiet community, very little violence, you can't put a price on children's safety. We need to do everything we can to provide a safe learning environment for our youth. I mean, they're the next generation that they're going to be standing up here debating each other in the next 10 years. And we need to make sure they're safe and taken care of.
Okay. Griffin?
All right. All right, this is for Mr. McCaffrey. Are there any careers or qualifications that you look for in a new school board member?
Business. I think you need to be able to, it all comes down to finance. The school, the city, they all have to be ran like a business. We only have so much money we can stretch so far. We need to be able to look at the budgets and find the right places to send these fundings so we can get a better education, and where we can cut fundings to help with teachers' pay and stuff like that, because they struggle. I mean, we can only provide so much in a small city like this. But somebody with business insight that knows how to control the budget and move things around to make it work.
Mr. Ellsworth?
I'm going to have to agree with what he said as far as business sense goes. We have to be able to fund the school district. What we have to be able to do is come up with a quality tax base that this money comes from. So that if we don't take care of that first, then we're never going to make it to funding the school district.
Okay. Let's see, Mr. Carpenter? If we have any live audience questions. Okay, well, does anybody want to ask any live audience questions? Okay, well, at that note, Mr. Ellsworth, your conclusion.
All right, well, that was a lot quicker than I expected. All right, so I would like to give a little bit on my background. My opponent and I bring different skill sets to the city, without a doubt. He has a construction background, he's very good at that. So, of my 18 years as a fire inspector, my job is to enforce codes, standards, and ordinances, okay? With that being said, we update our ordinances all the time. I go through and I look at some of the ordinances that we have on the book, and they're sad. I heard Ms. Long say something a while ago about an ordinance from 1986. I'm finding them from 1972. So, and to back up a little bit further, so for the last 15 years, I've owned a co-consulting company. I had a contractor come to me, a developer, that wants to do a neighborhood in Long Beach. So he's like, hey, can you guide me along, let me know what they're gonna be looking for, what we need? I'm like, sure. So I go through everything. He wants to do, we're not gonna name him, he wants to do a one-way in, one-way out. You can only have 30 homes without having to sprinkle them. You have to have cul-de-sac, hammerhead, something like that at the end. So I told him, make sure that you account for a 96-foot cul-de-sac at the end. Well, there's a city ordinance that says it only has to be 80 foot, okay? You can't turn a fire truck or a school bus or a garbage truck around in an 80-foot cul-de-sac. So the city adopts the international code that tells you this, but they have an ordinance that's so outdated it's sad that tells you this. We need to work on our ordinances. That happens to be my specialty. So just wanted to put that out there.
Alderman McCaffrey?
I just want to say it's been an absolute pleasure serving not only Ward 4 for the past 8 years, but the entire city of Long Beach. And I hope that I can get out there and continue serving y'all. I think I have a good background that helps bring information to the city with these drainage projects and sewer upgrades and all that, which is much needed in the city. I think I bring a lot to the table with that, and I hope to have your support. I know we're both great candidates up here, so at the end of the day, there's no telling, but I would love your support.
Thank you much, gentlemen. I appreciate you guys.
All right.
And now we have the Ward 5 candidates for Mr. Greg Bonds, and then Ms. Barbara Kimball, if she's here, and I'm not sure, I've not seen the gentleman Clifford Yeaman here, but I believe I haven't seen him, but it's just you two. Thank y'all. We welcome y'all. Mr. Bonds.
How y'all doing? My name is Greg Bonds. I'm a lifelong resident of Long Beach, Mississippi. Been here a touch over 50 years. Graduated from Long Beach in 1991. Husband to the amazing wife I have in the back of 21 years. 2 amazing children, Brenna, 13. My son Braden, 17, junior in high school. Drawing a blank now. Ms. Kimball, you did this to me, didn't you? Upon graduation, attended the University of Southern Mississippi, majoring in construction engineering. Upon leaving there, I worked for arguably 2 of the biggest construction companies in the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Currently, been a business owner in Long Beach for 22 years, and it's given me a good background, put me where I'm at today.
Hi, my name is Barbara Kimball. I hope y'all can hear me. I'm not used to talking into a microphone, but that's okay. I don't even know why I'm up here, but I felt like we needed a change in Long Beach. And number one, I've been your election commissioner for the county for the past 16 years. That wasn't an easy job, but I had to exactly get out of it simply because I've hurt my shoulder. I'm looking towards surgery maybe in May. I couldn't pick the bags up anymore. We had a Secretary of State and a legislator. They added more stuff to our bags. It got to the point, and with 16 precincts, I had to pick up every one of those bags, and they weighed anywhere from 70 to 80 pounds. I think I threw it out. I'm not sure. Before that, I worked down at the Port of Gulfport. I worked for the city of Gulfport. I was their civil service clerk for 10 years. I ran my own business. I had 80 trucks under my, down at the Port of Gulfport. We hauled bananas. So I've had a lifetime of experience. I guess that's it.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kimball. Okay, first question, Mr. McGill.
The first question is going to go to Mr. Bonds.
Look closer, microphone to you a little bit.
First question is going to go to Mr. Bonds. How can the Board of Aldermen support small businesses, encourage local investment?
We've got to streamline, to me, we've got to continue with providing a friendly city to do business with.
Yep.
We've got to streamline our processes. I think sometimes people feel there's several hurdles to get across. I feel like we've got to streamline that. We've got to create a clear process and plan to, invite these people in here. They want to be here. I mean, I think we have a city that provides something for these people. I do think we've got to promote these businesses once here. The aldermen need to get out. I think we all need to push towards that. I think we need to advocate for the existing businesses that are here. As I said earlier, I've been in business in this city for 22 years, and I have felt some pain sometimes. You feel like you're running this race alone, and I think and it ain't always been bad. It's good, but sometimes you feel like when you're self-employed, sometimes you wonder where it's going to come from. And so I certainly understand the plight that these businesses have doing business here. And if elected, I want to promote these people, advocate for these people, and let them know that they're not alone and that there's people here that support them.
Ms. Kimball?
Well, I think the biggest problem that any municipality in Harrison County has, there are 5 cities. They're all trying to get the same business you are. And I think we need to make it more lucrative to these businesses, whether it be small or large, to come in. In fact, I wouldn't mind having another grocery store, another drugstore, simply because we've got 350 people that are moving into homes on Beatline and Pineville Road. We have 117 homes over there on Mitchell Road, and I've lost count as to how many new houses are being built there on Klondike. The only thing I can say is we have got people moving into this area. They're looking for homes. They're trying to get out of Texas, California, any place, and they're coming here. They found their little piece of heaven on earth, and they're moving in, and we are going to have to provide enough shops for them to shop at and schools for their kids to go to school.
Mr. Bonds?
I'm good. I 100% agree.
Okay. The second question.
Second question first goes to Ms. Kimball. What are the key issues you believe the Board of Aldermen should prioritize?
The
What are the key issues you believe the Board of Aldermen should prioritize?
Prioritized. I think anything is a prioritized thing that comes before the Board of Aldermen, whether it be fixing the streets or new business or a new school. Everybody should work together to get all these things. We are a small municipality, but we need more business because business can pay taxes. I mean, I worked at the city of Gulfport, and one of my commissioners, he was appointed by, to serve on the committee when they brought in the first casino, and he said they love being appointed to be on the committee to bring in that casino, but they didn't realize how much money it would cost to lay all the water lines and everything. He said we should have asked for more money. That's the way I look at it. You have to study each and everything that you do because you're working for the people.
Mr. Bonds?
You know, I'm first and foremost, I think harbor and pier revitalization is critical for this city. I think that's what the people want. That they've been wanting, but as Mayor Bass alluded, it's not an overnight fix. Economic growth. I mean, that's what makes this clock turn. I mean, you've got to bring in the businesses. You've got to make a friendly environment, make it advantageous for these people to come in here, and it will be supported. If these people come in here, they feel our support, they can thrive in this city, and I believe that. I'm huge on first responders. I think we should give all first responders all the resources that they need to keep this city safe. I do feel that people come here because it is small. They feel safe here. We're not crime-ridden like a lot of our people around us. And last but certainly not least, but the school district. That's another big pull for this city, is people coming here wanting to be a part of the Long Beach school system. And I think we should continue to support that. And, the children are our future. They've said it. They'll be up here one day, hopefully. And I think education is critical in this city, and we've been standing on top for a very long time.
I agree.
Okay. Then Griffin?
This is all. In your previous experience, what role did you learn that would benefit the school district?
In my previous
Meeting as election commissioner.
My election commissioner experience was simple. Everybody has to get out and vote. We had to work up elections under the Secretary of State, give these elections, and we were fortunate if 30% of the voters turned out to vote. And it's very important to get out and vote, whether it be a municipal election, a county election, or a federal election. That's the only way you're going to get out there and get your point across.
I think, too, about the question, Ms. Kimball, I think he was referring to that. Did you work with the school district, like the 18-year-olds growing up, with them to vote, to get out and vote?
Oh, yeah. I mean, even when I was on the executive committee before I ran for the office. And we would go to the schools and get people, try to get the seniors registered to vote. And personally, I think some of them would rather get out of class to come there and register and sign their name. It's very important that you teach your kids to get out and say, you're not going to have we can't pass this city down to you if you don't take care of it. And they should be taught to vote too.
Mr. Bonds, I know that position, that question doesn't exactly go to you, but if you could talk about your
In regards to
experience,
in regards to the voting of the importance of voting, when I grew up, to be quite honest, I never knew who my mom and dad was voting for. It wasn't it wasn't quite like it is today. There was just certain things that wasn't discussed. And that's just the way it was. But what I was taught, upon turning 18, your butt was going to be down there registering to vote. I do think the kids today are a little bit more of an advantage. You know, I say that. Sometimes they may be hearing more than they should. But I know it's very well known in my house what we support and what we stand for. And when both of my children turn 18, that'll be the first thing they do is go get registered to vote. And it's your duty. It's your civic duty to whether it's your city, United States, or whatever.
Thank you. Griffin.
Mr. Bonds, would you be open to having town hall meetings with school involvement?
Absolutely. You know, I think it's very critical. Look, I want to be transparent. I want to be available. I want to be present with attending board meetings, present with my, if elected, fellow aldermen, the mayor, present with the planning commission, present with the school board. Anything that I can do to bring positivity to this city is what I'm going to do, and I would absolutely be in favor of that.
Ms. Kimball?
Oh, yes, I think everybody in the city needs to know what's going on at City Hall, so to speak. You need to stay in touch with your constituents, let them know what's going on, and hopefully more people will show up at the aldermen's meetings so they will know exactly what's going on.
Thank you. Thank you. Any live audience questions? You have any live audience questions? Going once? Going twice? Okay. And on that note, Ms. Kimball, you got the conclusionary speech.
I ran for this office simply because I felt like we needed a change. I've been, like I said, I just retired from the county after 16 years as your election commissioner. Before that, I've held numerous jobs. Some of them were good. Most of them were. You have to work at anything you do in order to make it work. That's how simple it is. And I know this young man because I worked with his mother at the city of Gulfport. We were friends.
And you weren't supposed to be up here doing this against me.
I know that. Anyway, when you are elected official, you are a public servant, and that's what you do. You have to consider yourself a servant to the people who put you in office.
Mr. Bonds?
Look, 52 years, I'm a blessed man. I mean, I have a awesome wife, great kids, great family, great friends, the most support anybody could ask for. Self-employed in this beautiful city. I do have a thriving business, highly active in youth sports as my children were coming through, coaching this team, coaching that team. But, you know, I don't know if it was a midlife crisis. I woke up one morning and I said, I just want to be alderman. You know, I don't really know why.
That's quite a feat.
You know, my wife's probably going, geez, what is this guy talking about? But I felt like I need to be a part of something bigger, you know, and I have it all, you know, and health is everything. I mean, I'm blessed all the way around the board. There's still something missing. And I've been here for 52 years, and I want to be a part of something bigger. I want to push this city, help push this city forward. And I think if lucky enough to be elected, I'm going to roll up these sleeves and work hard for this city. That's all I got.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Give us 2 minutes, and we'll have the first round of the mayor questions. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, come back in when you get a chance. Ladies and gentlemen.
Can you hear me now?
Ladies and gentlemen, and we have the first round for the Long Beach mayor. We have Mr. Tim Pierce and Mr. Glenn Powell. Mr. Pierce, if you don't mind giving an introduction.
Yes, thank everybody for coming out. It really is encouraging that everybody's out here today to hear these people talk about what they really believe in, because it's you they've got to answer to. So with that said, I first want to start out. I've got my beautiful wife of 34 years. We've had 4 wonderful kids and still have them. They don't move far from home. And then we've had 6 great grandkids. So I'm committed to this community. I love this community, and I love my wife and my kids. So I want to start out by saying, this is a suit that I wore tonight, but it's not. It's a uniform that I have worn for 20 years. So I'm a professional. I've worked out at NASA for 41 years, and so this is who I am. This is me, and I just want to say that I'm newly retired, so I'm able to spend my time serving the city people of Long Beach. So I want to first start out by saying, and I'm not a politician. I'm just a hard worker, and I've always wanted to give back to my community. This community's been great to me. I've lived here since '63. And I really want to thank the school district for what they've done to me, and they gave me the opportunity to be where I am today. And so I wanted to kind of give back. And 20-something years ago, I said, I'm going to give back to the teachers. I said, I'm going to give back to the teachers the way they helped me. So I've been on the school board for 20-something years, and I think y'all have heard a lot of good things about the school district. I lived that time with the school district. I helped the school district as one of many to bring the school district to what it is today, and it's good to hear. It's really good to hear all of the candidates throughout this debate talk about how good the school district is, and it makes me feel good because I worked hard for 20-something years to do it. So that was very encouraging that they have noticed that we've done so well. And so let me go into a little bit about my experience. Some of you may not know me. I've been out at Stennis Space Center for 41 years. I started out in the office of the CFO, Chief Financial Officer. I managed budgets every year that ranged from $250 to $300 million a year. That was my job. I put the budgets together, I put the execution of those budgets together, and I helped to run the federal city out at Stennis Space Center. So then I was promoted, and next thing I was the deputy of the Center Services for Stennis Space Center. As some of you may or may not be aware, Stennis Space Center is a federal city. It has every one of the services that you get here today. Everything that you expect the city of Long Beach to provide you, I was responsible for providing 5,000 tenants and 40 to 50 companies that same types of service. So that was a big background that I had, and really helped me to convince me to run for mayor, because that's what I've done. I've ran a federal city. So that was a good plus that I really enjoyed doing. Another thing I want to say is I was Ledge Affairs for Stennis Space Center. And what that means is I dealt with people at the state level and the federal level. So I can take what I've learned through legislative affairs and bring some of those things back to Long Beach and help to bring monies in, so like we had mentioned the harbor. I've dealt with Congress, I've dealt with the governor. I can help to bring monies to Long Beach, and that's where I'm going to move forward. The other thing is I was also
Your time's
promoted. He said I had 4 minutes. He said I was also promoted to chief of the Plan and Development Division for Stennis Space Center. I was the master planner for Stennis Space Center for 9 years. The master plan that Stennis Space Center goes by today, I was the author of that master plan. So I feel real comfortable with moving forward. And one other thing, some of you may not have known, I was a city councilman back in the 90s for 8 years. And I helped to put in strategic planning into the city in order to move us forward. And one other thing, because I know Hunter's ready to pull it away from me, I was on the school board, like I said, for 20 years. 8 years of it, 8 of my last years, I was school board president. I was just reelected to the school board again as president. So if I don't become mayor, I'll be your school board person for 25 years. And thank you all so much for coming out and the opportunity to serve you all.
Thank you, Mr. Pierce. And of course, you should have recommended, well, you probably want to read the paper because I've got enough biography on you in there.
Yes, thank you very much, Hunter.
Anyway, Mr. Powell, please.
Hey, thank you. My name is Glenn Powell. I am honored to be here. Just to stand up here is just amazing, just to run for mayor in the city. And I appreciate everybody's support. And, you know, I want to thank everybody. Thanks, Hunter. Thank you, Hunter, and my beautiful wife, Danielle, for being here. I do have 7 kids of my own. Yes, we're not Catholic, but we go to Northwood Church, but we're not Catholic. Anyway, so I am a 51-year-old man. I'm 31 years from here. I am a former military veteran. I spent 26 years in law enforcement, many different roles I played, patrolman, SWAT team member, beach patrol. You know, I also directed our Explore Academy to foster young adults and you're just being just great citizens of our society. And, you know, there's a few things also that I like to talk about in my history of law enforcement is very passionate to me, is being in the school system. That is, I think, the most rewarding part of my career, being a mentor to these kids, being a mentor to the families. So I met several families that now today are just giving me hugs when I'm showing up to their houses to vote for me. It's amazing, and just it's great. It's great to be there to support them and get the support from them. And a few years ago, I retired and I started a trucking business, and you know, I just felt like I needed to serve again. And what I did was just reached out to a few people, and they said, "Why don't you run for mayor?" I said, "Well, okay, let me look into it." So I did my research on it. And then I found out George Bass was not going to run again, so I put my name out there, and I started doing research on, you know, what I can do to be a good mayor. And I talked to city leaders, I've talked to the mayor, and I've talked to citizens and business owners. And one of the things is they want accountability and transparency in the city. So what I plan on doing is bringing that to Long Beach. And I've looked at George Bass and his city council the last 8 years have done an amazing job. They just haven't bragged about it like we need to. They need to brag about what they've done. And what I want to do is bring that to the city and do mayor minutes. I want to do each week a 1 to 2 minute live stream of mayor minutes, going live and just saying, hey, this is what's going on with the harbor. This is what's going on with our budget. This is all the city projects we have going on. And I think the people in the city will enjoy that and appreciate that. And that's some of the things I want to do, and I want to make sure that we do get involved in our schools. You know, it's great to have great council members and president here today to do this. It's great. And, you know, I'm a city guy for 31 years. I plan on being here a lot longer with my kids. I have 2 more to graduate high school, so can't wait. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. And here we go. We're going to have question 1.
Okay, the first question is going to go to Mr. Pierce. If you were given $1 million grant for the city, and you could do anything you wanted with it without restrictions, minus exception to the harbor, what areas of the city would you use it on?
Well, that's a great question, and it's very important if we were to get $1 million, that we spent that $1 million in a way that we can have a return on that investment. So the main thing that I would start to do would really be in investing in attracting new business. Because I like, a lot of all the aldermen have said, what does Long Beach need? We need a business community. We have a very, very good town, and we have a lot of a good bedroom community, but a bedroom community cannot survive on itself. We need a business district. So when I say that, I mean, you'll see we're doing great when we talk about our bedroom community, but a good bedroom community is always offset by a good business community as well. So that's very important. I would work in that areas. I would also focus on business to return, for the return on that investment. So when you invest in business, the return on that investment is going to come back. So you got to spend those dollars wisely. I would use and once we get business coming, I would use the tax revenues that would come back off of that $1 million if we spend it correctly to support our teachers and our firefighters and our police officers. As a school board member, we fight to stay up with the other communities. We're working on very hard on bringing our salaries up, and I'm gonna tell you today we're behind, but it's because we have good people that live in this city. They go off to school and they want to come back here and they want to teach. That's not fair to them. We need to do better, and I promise you I will do better. The other thing I would do is and we did this where I work out of Stennis. You always keep a running tab on the priorities, and so that when you do come across extra funds, you can check off that list. You don't take a knee-jerk reaction on how you want to spend your dollars. You already know how you're going to spend your dollars. You know where you're going to get the best return on that investment, and so that's very important. And so it all comes together, and I think I heard some of the other aldermen say, it's about having a master plan and something that you can go by, a roadmap that you can go by. And I've created that master plan. That master plan that Stennis goes by today is a 20-year master plan. I created that master plan. And it had details on things that we wanted to do over the next 20 years. So things weren't just
seconds.
Excuse
30
me?
seconds.
Yeah, things weren't just a surprise and a knee-jerk reaction. Everything is planned. You always know what your next step is whenever an opportunity presents itself. So that's what I would do to that $1 million. So thanks for the question.
So
if anybody would like to bring in $1 million, that would be super too.
Mr. Powell?
Yes, sir. All right, good answer, Tim. That was long, and mine is a little bit more simpler. Mine would be for infrastructure. I've noticed our roads are terrible here, and I noticed 28th Street and Klondike would be my first project. If someone said $1 million, what would you do with it? 28th Street and Klondike Road. Widen that road. It's dangerous. There's tons of wrecks there. I sat the other day and watched traffic go into the grass area just to go to the gas station. We need to widen that, and that's what I would spend $1 million on. Obviously, that's going to cost $1.7 million to do, but we can add what we already have to that grant that we have set aside for that money and add that to it and get that project done. Obviously, we have to get the county involved in it, but that's this project that I would be most passionate about with that $1 million.
Mr. Pierce, counter?
Yeah, I'd like to rebuttal on that. When I was an alderman back in the 90s, and it's really all about relationships. I had a real good relationship with Marlon Ladner. And in my 8 years as alderman of Ward 1, I was able to repave every road in Ward 1. And it wasn't because we had the funds within the city. It's because I made relationships, and I went out and used those relationships to help the city of Long Beach. And that goes back to my legislative affairs career. I really think that I can rely on some of the people that I've dealt with over the years in D.C. and in Jackson to help us out, to help us fill out to perform some of these things that we need to happen in Long Beach. So that's how I would go about the paving of 28th Street and things of that nature. We'd have to do it through relationships.
Here we go. Next question.
Okay, this question first goes to Mr. Powell. What do you see as the biggest opportunity for growth in Long Beach, and why?
our biggest opportunity for growth is Highway 90. There's so much property down there that we just have to bring the investors in. We have so much property that's just empty, and for 20 years, since Katrina hit, if we get the right businesses in here, this city will explode. And I think that hotel that's coming in, I think that's going to start a chain reaction.
Would you
You want
repeat the question, please?
The question is, what do you see as the biggest opportunity for growth in Long Beach, and why?
Well, that's a good question. My response to that is, you know, and I've told this story before, and maybe some of you have heard it, but when you come over that Bay St. Louis Bridge and you're coming into beautiful Pass Christian, and then the next thing you know, you're in Gulfport, because you really don't realize there's even a Long Beach, because it still looks like a hurricane just went through. That's what we got to focus on. And I think George mentioned it. We've got to focus on our front door. And when we create our front door and we redo that harbor and we redo that pier and we let people know that Long Beach is on the map and we do want you to stop here because we do have nice things in Long Beach, that's going to be our biggest opportunity to turn this city around and bring more revenues into this city. So that's where I would focus my time on the biggest opportunity. And I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of potential out there. I think the future for Long Beach is really bright. And I'm going to be graded on what I do for you. At the end of the day, if I don't bring business into this city to offset some of the high taxes on our citizens, I failed you. But I can promise you I'm going to do everything I can do to bring us back on the map and bring businesses into Long Beach. Because a lot of you may or may not remember, the ones that were here before Katrina, we didn't have any empty lots. We didn't have any empty lots on Jeff Davis. We had 4 grocery stores. So we can do it again. And we just have to put a good front door to bring the people here. So thank you.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Counter?
No, that's good. That's good.
Okay. Next question.
This is also for Mr. Powell. What do you want to accomplish in your first 3 months in office?
My first 3 months in office, there's a lot to do, and I believe that my first 3 months would be to establish what I told you to begin with, is accountability and transparency in this city. It's going to take a lot longer than 3 months to build roads, and we have a lot going on with MDOT. If we can just keep our citizens aware of what's going on, within 3 months, they're going to be, okay, all right, we understand what's going on with our money, because that's one of the big questions. Where's our money going? If we can get that out there, I mean, yes, there's a lot to do. Let's just tell them what's going on, and I think they'll be happy with that.
Mr. Pierce?
Repeat that question one more time, please. I'm going to make it hard on you.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I can handle it.
No, thank you.
What do you want to accomplish in your first 3 months in office?
Well, you know, I want to get in the first 3 months, and first I really want to understand the workings of the city. My role on the school board was finances. I was the guy that took care of the money. So what I want to do in my first 3 months, I really want to understand where we're spending money and make sure that we're spending money in the right places, that we'll have a more return on our investment, because every dollar that this city spends needs to have a return. So when I get in, I would like to start that. Then right behind that, I would like to start my relationships with the state and the federal level to work on, and I know you hear it a lot, but we've got to get that harbor back up and going. 4 years is too long. 4 years, and when I go down to Harborview, I said that they say that harbor's killing us because people just pass right on by Jeff Davis and didn't even realize we're here. So we have to prioritize getting that harbor back up and going, and then producing that front door to our city. And that's what I plan to do.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Counter to that?
No, that's good.
Okay. Next question.
All right, my question's going to be for Mr. Pierce. How will you work with other county, state, and federal officials to help Long Beach based on experience?
Say that
So
one more time.
based on your experience, how will you work with the county, the state, and federal officials to help Long Beach?
Oh, I will be very involved because I am your representative of this city. And as your representative, I will get out. You will. And, you know, and I really think about things don't just happen. You've got to be there for things to happen. So I'm going to be a very active mayor. I will get out. I will communicate with the Harrison County, the other. I've already set up some meetings with the possible future mayors in the other cities to see what worked for them. You know, I want to deal with Bay St. Louis. How'd you grow so fast? Not that I want to quite grow the way you grew. I want smart growth. Long Beach is very unique, and I want to keep it unique, but we've got to build that business background. And so I want to build those relationships to talk with these other communities to say, what worked for you? What didn't work for you? And what can I do in Long Beach to push us forward? And even further than that, you know, all the way up to the state level. I've met with the governor a number of times and some of our representatives, and I've got to collaborate with these people. They've got to know that first off, we've got a master plan for this city that we can show them that we're just not asking for money. We're asking for money because we've got a plan, and we want to get to that plan because the more beneficial and profitable we are as a city, the more the state is. So we've got to work together and make sure we're doing the right things and moving this city forward. And I'm going to tell you, you know, this is a journey. It's been a journey for me. And what I want and what I would love to have is all y'all to come on that journey with me. We really can work together. We've got a lot of smart people in Long Beach. I work with a lot of smart ones that live in Long Beach or work out of the test complex. And I know we've got people that are willing to help. So you've got to be open to ideas. And we've got to change some of the things we've done in the past and move forward. And I look forward to that opportunity because there is a lot of opportunity out there. Thank you.
Mr. Powell?
Ask it again. Ask it again.
The question is, what will you do to ensure that the city runs efficiently? No, I'm sorry. You're right. You're right.
Wrong one.
Yeah, wrong one. How will you use your experience to work with other county, state, and federal officials?
Okay, good question. As a police officer, you get to meet a lot of people. You know, I've already met with Marlon Ladner several times throughout my career. I've had a conversation with him, let him know that I am running for mayor, offered my support, or his support, I'm sorry, his support, and I've met with Richard Bennett. Those are key people. I've already, you know, have been in conversation with George Bass. Those, and he's offering to say, if I am elected, whether I'm elected or not, if I am elected, he will help me gain access to my Gazette and other people that are instrumental that we need on our side. And that's just me just being a person, just a normal person in law enforcement that's able to talk to people like that on a normal level, not as a politician. I'm not saying anybody else is. I'm just saying that's how I am, and that's how I would go forward with it.
Mr. Pierce?
No, I mean, that's some good points. I think I've said what I wanted to say, and I've got my plan going forward, and I will implement that plan come day one.
Okay. Griffin?
All right, Mr. Powell, since both of you are involved in the Long Beach School District, what do you believe is the most needed improvement?
That's a good question. You asking me first?
Well, both of you have the experience.
Yeah, I know we have the experience, but you know, like we said before, Long Beach School District is #1 in the top. The only thing I would say is I think the city needs to be more involved in our schools. I think that we need to be more involved with our fundraisers. You know, my kids are all in band, and it's hard. You know it's hard to get just the people to donate and go buy crumble cookies, or you know, we need to have something at Town Green for our schools, do fundraisers, and get our whole city involved in it. You know, a lot of people don't know that our band is about to go to Washington, D.C. in April to March, and it's going to be big. We need the whole city to be involved, and if we have our mayors and our aldermen pushing that type, I think we can gain a lot from that.
Mr. Pierce?
Repeat that question, please.
Using your past experience with since both of you are previously Since both of you are involved by the Long Beach School District, what do you believe is the most needed improvement in the area?
All right, and thank you for that question, and thank you for representing our school district. I'm very proud of you, and I'm glad you're here. I will say that the most important issue with our school district is pay. I'm gonna tell you, we got great teachers, but it's not fair to those teachers to work at something less than these other communities are offering. So how would I fix that? Build a business space. You work hard at bringing businesses in, and I'm telling you, we can do it. That will take care of those problems with our school district. There's nothing that, we've got a very good administration in place. We've got a very good school board in place. What's missing in our school district is not dedication, it's pay. And it's not fair to those teachers, so I'm gonna work very, very hard to assure that I'm gonna support those teachers. And I'm gonna give back to those teachers what they gave to me, because that's why I'm here today. I had a good education here in Long Beach, and I believe in giving back to those teachers.
Okay, Griffin, another question?
All right, this one's for Mr. Pierce. Using your past experience with the school board or the school, what trait would you advise the board to look for when interviewing school board members annually?
Oh, wow. That is so important. And I've been wanting to do this for years. So as school board president for the last 8 years, we've got a well-rounded school board. We've got someone who's in business. We've got someone who was an attorney, Tom, who just left our board. We've got somebody who's in education. My bring to the board was my financial background, my ability to create master plans and follow those master plans, and I think that's a big reason as to why the school district is doing so good today, because we do have those plans in place. So I want to use that stuff in order to push this school district forward. So, thank you, and great question. Thanks.
Mr. Powell,
Yes?
to respond to that question?
Okay. You can answer again for me.
Using your past experience with the school board or the school, what trait would you advise the board to look for when interviewing school board members annually?
All right, I do agree with Mr. Pierce about you have to have business, but also as a mayor, I would want to see that person involved in every school function, be deeply involved. You know, you don't have to have kids in your school, but just someone that goes to all the events and participates and shows interest in that. That's very important to me. That's basically what I'll be looking for.
Anything else?
So I lived it. And I think most of you who participate in extracurricular activities around our school district, I go to all of them. I think it's very important to be involved. And you know, because I see you there all the time too. It's so important to be involved with these kids. And I love it, I enjoy it. I go to the choir, I go watch the band, basketball, football. It's so important to let those kids know that you support them and you believe in them and giving them encouragement. So.
Now we have a few live audience questions. Say your name if you don't mind.
Jenny Blackwell. Sorry, I was looking at the phone. While you are preparing the city's strategic plan, what means do you plan to obtain the citizens and the stakeholders, the various thoughts to be included in the Long Beach vision for the future? How are you going to get information from the community?
And you know, I really do appreciate that question because as the master planner for Stennis Space Center, we start out with a vision plan. We bring the people together and we figure out what our vision is going to be. And that's the very start of everything. And so you've got to have everybody involved in order to make a good vision plan. And once you get that vision plan going, then you start to break it down into what I call charrettes. And that's where you bring in the community. And the community contributes to the plan. And then once you have that plan in place, then you move to your master plan. And your master plan brings those visions into reality. And it's not just a one-year plan. It's a 10, 15, 20-year plan. And as you go through different administrations, they don't have to guess where you're going next. You've already built that roadmap. And it's not just a plan that's going to collect dust. A true master plan is a working document. So every year it could change, but you've got to be flexible and make it change with the times. And so that's something, and thank you so much for that question because I've lived it. And I know how good it will work. Thank you.
Mr. Powell?
Yes, sir. I believe that if we start an economic development committee, I think that we get all the walks of life brought into this. You have this committee from engineers to business owners to just regular people that can identify property that's empty and say what business needs to come here and go identify them and say, all right, we need you to come here. That's one of my plans.
All right, we have another live audience question.
Do you support bringing our police pay up to match the surrounding cities to prevent our new recruits from leaving for better pay?
I don't mind.
Well, Glenn, you go ahead, please, first.
Yes. Okay, that is a great question because I was a police officer and I see it. I've lived that. And, right now they're at $43,000 and you're looking at other neighboring cities at $55,000 and $60,000. That's hard to compete with. But if we can get grants and we can find the money in the budget to do that, I am all for that. One thing that I was thinking about, like D'Iberville does, is you incentive $5,000 twice a year to have incentives, so you're only giving $10,000 out of our budget instead of $12,500 per officer for incentives. So you're saving over $100,000. That's one way of doing that. But if you're asking just to do, yes, if we have the money, then 100% yes. But if there's other ways to go about it to save a little bit of money for incentives to keep them here.
Mr. Pierce?
Yeah, and it's not only police and fire, it's teachers. And we've got to work hard to assure that we bring those salaries up. But I get back to the point. I see a big opportunity out there that will take care of a lot of the issues in the city limits of Long Beach, and that's business growth. And I will work hard to bring business because business is what it's going to take to be continuous. Thank you. To be continuous and be able to keep up with the surrounding cities. So I'll work hard at that. And we will, I promise you, we will bring business into this city if I'm elected.
Gentlemen, I thank you for your very hard work. Mr. Powell, speech to close.
All right. Well, thank you for letting me be here and taking the opportunity to do this. This is amazing. Thanks. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you. All the panel, appreciate that. We do have a lot to go. We do have a lot to do. We have another month. Win or lose, I hope that we can work together because we have learned a lot from each other and from the city of what the city needs. And let's just work together. Let's work together for our schools, our teacher pay. Let's work together. We have to bring businesses in, but if we don't have the developers that say, okay, well, you guys aren't supporting your cities, your businesses, one of the things I want to do is go to each business and highlight their business, do a live stream, and let them tell me, hey, what do you have to offer here? We can do that, a different business each week, and say, hey, we're supporting you. They would love that idea. I've talked to them about that. If other business owners, hey, I see how much they're supporting their local businesses, they might want to come here and build. We just have to get these property values down. It's, you try to buy a property now, $8 million, and it's very hard to do that. So that's my answer.
Thank you. Mr. Pierce?
Thank you. Lynn, I appreciate working with you, and we've had some good conversations together, and I consider you a good friend.
Thank you.
And hopefully we can come to the end and be able to work together going forward.
30 days.
But, to be a mayor, it's not just a title. there is a lot of responsibilities for mayor, and it has a wide range from leadership. You know, your mayor has to be a good leader. Your mayor has to take care of public safety. Your mayor has to handle crisis management. Your mayor has to handle policy and assure that that policy is transparent. Your mayor has to handle the day-to-day operations of what it takes to run a city. Your mayor has to be responsible for economic growth. Your mayor has to be responsible for government relations. They have to be responsible for communications to make sure the people are aware. We have to make sure that we follow legal compliance, and we have to manage the staff. So all of these things that I just mentioned, I have a lot of experience in, and that's what I've done for the federal city at Stennis Space Center for almost 41 years. So I get it and I understand it, and I know how complex it is to be a mayor, but I think throughout my career and what the tools that I have in my toolbox, I think I can bring that to Long Beach and be able to make this city proud of not only Long Beach, but your mayor. So thank
Gentlemen,
you.
from the whole city, I want to say thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Hunter.
Okay, we have the last panel of mayoral candidates, Mr. Raymond DeFlavis and Mr. Larry. Mr. DeFlavis, I'll ask you to be on this side. Yes, sir. We're going to give you a live mic since you can't get up on stage. I'll give this to you whenever you're ready. Okay. Mr. DeFlavis,
Yes.
floor is yours.
Well, I appreciate everybody staying after the main event. And I just want to say, I've been living here 12 years, and I think it's time for change and reform and transparency, openness, no cronyism, no nepotism, free speech and assembly. And also, I'd like to see the municipal court judge replaced because he squeezes people that come before him that can least afford it. He squeezes them like a grape. And I think that's a disgrace. I'd also like to see a change with the police chief. I'd like to see a younger man, because that's a physically and intellectually exhausting job. I'd like to see a much younger man within the department promoted. Just like Napoleon used to have his soldiers carry a marshal's baton in their knapsack, because they knew they could be promoted at any time. I think that one person can make a difference, and everyone should try. I saw how the good old boys literally shut down the mics and the pleas from local doyens at the city council meeting regarding the felling of a 200-year-old plus tree on the main drag. That would never happen in my administration, never. And I thought it was politically dumb. The good old boys have been promoting the idea of a casino for 15 years, while we have to drive 35 minutes into Gulfport for quality groceries. The Quarles House, that has to be audited. $2 million for millionaires, handouts to millionaires, and that Quarles House is supposed to be a visitor center to see what? What tourist attractions do we have? That was just to pay off political campaign favors for this current administration, because all of George Bass's donors were either contractors or developers.
Mr. DeFlavis, I will tell you, we're not making accusations towards any person. So
Well, that can be,
I understand, but
that can be
don't direct-
fact-checked.
I understand, but don't direct that towards any person.
Yeah, we have a canal tax. I don't know how many of you haven't paid off your mortgage yet, but we're the only town on the coast, and I called all the towns from Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, Louisiana, and nobody has anything like this, and it's something right out of a John Grisham novel. They've got a corrupt law, they've got a law firm overseeing this, and they won't tell us what kind of fees they're getting to oversee this, this canal tax. And I asked the city controller,
15 seconds.
how much they're charging taxpayers, and even she didn't know.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Laris?
Hello. Well, I'll start off by saying, do not be afraid. The time is at hand. The corporate takeover has begun from the top. I'm coming up from the bottom. I am the Alpha and the Omega. Donald Trump is the MACA. We will fix everything. The corporations are going to pay for it. That's why they call it the corporate takeover. Is that good?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll get to questions. Question one.
Okay. Mr. DeFlavis, first question will be for you. What policies should the mayor support to promote economic growth?
Well, I think economic growth is at a standstill since Katrina, more than 20 years ago. I think the good old boys have been promising a casino. Casinos are purveyors of misery. And I think there should be another vote, another plebiscite, because the last one was not well publicized, and I believe that that's a form of voter suppression. As far as bringing in new business, well, I'm only one of, 8 votes. Long Beach has, a system that in civics class, they taught us was a weak mayor, strong council. So I can propose, but I can't dictate. But what I can promise you is transparency, because I'm not part of this hydra they've got here. I'm not part of that. And old families, where I grew up, that means nothing. And here it means a little too much.
Mr. Laris?
Would you like me to repeat the question for you?
What was the question?
Yeah, let me read that for you. Okay, what policies should the mayor support to promote economic growth here in Long Beach?
We need good things in the city that create positive energy. A casino is a bad idea. We can bring all the stores to Long Beach and keep our money in Long Beach. Would be the greatest thing we could do. Instead of, like you said, going 35 minutes out of town to go get something, we should have a store in town that sells it, right? So, as far as economic growth, I think just positive things. We're going to build a bowling alley, we can movie theater. I mean, we can make this a place to live and a place people want to come to and celebrate good times and have positive light on.
Thank you. Thank you. Next question.
Next question goes to Mr. Gunnarsson. What do you see as the biggest opportunity for growth in Long Beach and why?
The biggest opportunity for growth is we turn our love lights on and we're just going to grow. It's just the way it is. Positive energy.
Mr. DeFlavis?
Could you repeat the question?
Sure. What do you see as the biggest opportunity for growth in Long Beach and why?
I think the biggest opportunity for growth is transparency and getting away from the good old boys and getting away from nepotism and getting the zoning department on the stick.
Question 3.
This is for Mr. Gunnarsson. What qualifications and experience do you have that would make you the best choice for mayor?
I have a degree from the University of Southern Mississippi in business management. As far as experience, I am a scholar of the School of Hard Knocks, and I know what pain is, and there's only one way to get rid of it, and that's to accept the truth, and let's do what we gotta do to just save the rest of the world. The light starts on right here, and we're going that way. Positive energy, and we can do it.
Mr. DeFlavis?
Yes. Could you repeat the question?
Yes, ma'am.
Certainly, sir. What qualifications and experience do you have that would make you qualified to be the
I
mayor?
have clean hands. I'm not part of this corruption that you all have down here. I'm not going to promise pay raises when I don't know where the money's coming from.
Okay. Now the question from Griffin.
This is for Mr. Gunnarsson. Do you believe that the mayor should promote youth leadership groups in City Hall?
Say that again.
Do you believe that the mayor should promote youth leadership groups in City Hall?
Yeah. I think, I'm really disappointed that we don't have baseball fields and soccer fields in town. I mean, they are, the space, they're like over here. We should play over here and not way out north in County Farm. That loses business for the city of Long Beach. Everybody ends up going for pizza over on 49 or something. If we had those kinds of places in town, then people would spend their money in town, right?
Thank you. Mr. DeFlavis?
Again?
Do you believe that the mayor should promote youth leadership groups in City Hall?
I believe the mayor should make an effort to open the tennis courts that only a handful of youngsters on the tennis team are now permitted to use. And I understand the money to build those courts came from FEMA funds. Everyone should be able to use those tennis courts. None of this elitism. We should strive for more egalitarianism.
Thank you. Next question.
All right, this is for Mr. DeFlavis. How will you communicate with the school district?
I think the school board is a rubber stamp for the school district. I think the schools are very woke down here. And it's not just something that happens in Oakland or San Francisco. This school system is very woke. And they're keeping it from parents and grandparents. I read a fella named Boynton. Some of you probably know him. Richard, not Carl, his brother, writes a lot on social media, and he talks about how he can't relate to his children and his grandchildren. That's because the schools are woke, and people on the school board, they may be Republicans, but they're rhinos. They're not MAGA, and they're not Trump conservatives. They may look good in a golf shirt. They might look great on the links. But, I heard so much about this fella, like he worked for Stennis. I thought he was a rocket scientist. Turns out he was an accountant.
Okay.
How will you communicate with the school district?
The school district. There are some things that are going to change when it comes to school. I don't like that it's built like a prison. I understand why. I understand the fear. That's a tough thing to try to change. But I also agree with him that the facility should be open for the public. I went down there and tried to get on the football field one day, and I got run off. Isn't that our football field?
Okay, we're going to have some live audience questions. Mr. Carpenter?
Sure. My name is Chris Hankins. My question is for you, Raymond, is how do you defend all of the racist and misogynist comments you've made on Facebook?
How do you defend your hypocrisy? I'm a racial realist. It's a difference between a racist and a realist. Do you want Long Beach to look like Moss Point? Do you want Long Beach to look like Pascagoula? Pascagoula must have been a beautiful town at one time. I took the drive in, but it's a mess. It's a wreck. And what do people mean when they say, is it a good neighborhood? What are they saying? What is that exactly a metaphor? Is this a safe neighborhood? What does that mean? Think about it.
My name is Craig DeRoche. I'm a retired Long Beach police officer, and my question is for this man right here, Mr. DeFlavas. Have you ever been arrested?
I was arrested for holding a sign, and I'm proud of that because I'm a free speech absolutist. And people like you is who gave Mississippi burning, such high numbers of viewers, okay? You are from the old school. You are from the old school. You are the xenophobe. I'm just a realist. You are the narrow-minded xenophobe. You're the kind of cop that gave Mississippi a bad name.
Mr. DeFlavas,
yes.
Let's focus on the topic and not into the audience. You have a small window. I'd like to see you use it for the best answers. Okay, thank you.
Okay. We have a question.
Good afternoon, Mr. Raymond DeFlavas. My name is Bob Paul. I'm the Parks and Recreation Director here for the city. One of the questions I had has already been asked. You talked about transparency. Well, I know you tried to touch on your social media page here, but I've looked at it several times. You've got several racist comments on there, attacks on women, attacks on police officers, civil service employees, anybody else who doesn't agree with your ideology. You've threatened several civil service employees, including myself, that you would fire them the day you got into office with no just cause, just because you wanted to say it. I'd like to know why you always refer to all of our locals here as uneducated buffoons, rednecks, hillbillies, and a bunch of other inappropriate names. Running for mayor, I don't believe that is appropriate. I don't know how you expect to get support from anybody in this community with that kind of language and that approach for the city. So do you really believe you're qualified to run for this position in the city of Long Beach?
Aren't you the parks director that senior citizens complained about to me
No,
personally?
that's your
that
thought
you bully
process.
them? Aren't you that, Bob
Once
Paul?
again, I'm going to give you one more
Thank you,
opportunity.
Ray.
Aren't you bully Bob Paul?
Mr. Flavis, I'm going to give you one more opportunity to stay on track, okay? Just focus on the question.
Do we have any other questions? Live audience questions? Okay,
I just want to say one thing in answer to
not
him.
directed towards one person, directed towards the idea.
That's fine. If any senior citizens gets bullied in this senior center, I want them to know they can come to me.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr.
On
Flavis.
that note, we will conclude this. We appreciate you guys taking your time. And Mr. Gunderson, you have the floor to close.
This is the most important election in the history of the world, I believe. I need all of you to come out and vote. Every single citizen that is eligible to vote needs to go register to vote and come vote. This is a very, very important election, and I like everything that I heard from everybody that spoke today. Okay? We can do it. We all think we are all on the same wavelength. Can you feel the energy that's about to come up? That's what I'm talking about. We're going to be dancing in the streets, okay? On April Fool's Day, for God's sake. Come on.
Thank you, Mr. Gunderson. Mr. DeFlavis, the floor is yours.
Well, the first thing I do before I fired Bob Paul and the chief of police,
Do not direct that towards a single person, sir. You got, that's the last warning.
I would audit the city, inside audit and an outside independent audit. I think that's overdue, and I don't think any of the other candidates would ask for something like that, because they're all tied in. They're all tied in. And I don't, you know, it irks me that there aren't any guardrails. This isn't normal. You know, there's canals all over the place and ditches, and there's no guardrails. It's like the people that run the city don't care about the residents. And I got to drive 35 minutes to Gulfport into the ghetto to get some decent quality groceries. That's a disgrace. Really, this town is ill-run, and the folks are just accustomed to it. They're accustomed to less.
Everybody, let's just focus.
You have 30 seconds, sir.
You're done. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Flavis.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, very much. This was an important event. You saw what you're going to get. This is exactly, I look forward to hosting this again. Thank you very much again, ladies and gentlemen. Mayor Bass, the board, appreciate it. Thank you all very much. Good night.